Downtown Chicago, one of the city's most iconic addresses for over 150 years. This year's keynote speaker is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has led Florida through 2 terms of record economic growth, making it one of the fastest growing states in the nation. The evening kicks off with a reception at 5, dinner at 6, an evening of great company, great conversation, and a shared belief in the principles that made America exceptional. Seats are limited, and they will go fast. Reserve yours today at benefit.heartland.org. That's benefit.heartland.org. The Heartland Institute's 42nd Anniversary Benefit Dinner, September 3rd, Palmer House Hilton, Chicago. Don't just believe in freedom, celebrate it.
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
Open enrollment is going great. We're hitting record numbers. Thank you so much for this report. It really is amazing to see how the marketing is really shaping our enrollment around the city.
Salem Surround. Is your business hard to find online? Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Huber with Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Back when the government was suppressing other forms of therapy for COVID and many doctors were being persecuted for stepping up, we felt the absolute necessity to act. That's why I developed Virago during the pandemic, to give people a powerful way to strengthen their immune system and fight back. Since then, feedback from users has shown us that Virago helps with so much more than what we originally anticipated, bringing relief and improvement to people dealing with allergies, asthma, autoimmune diseases by supporting a healthy immune function. Join me Friday, August 28th at Seanfest. Tune in or come by and hear me interviewed by the great Sean Thompson, a true patriot, for a conversation you won't want to miss.
Order your bottle of Virago today. Visit myvirago.com. Use the coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Plumbers, today will be a good day. You will be profitable. Your clients will be nice. No one will stand over you and tell you how to fix the thing they actually hired you to fix. You will also feel at peace after switching to Progressive, America's #1 commercial auto insurer. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, #1 commercial auto insurer from the NAIC's 2024 National Premium Data.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You push yourself in everything you do, scanning headlines for insights, keeping an eye on the market. Robinhood puts you in control of your money, all on one platform. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
Larry Elder believes some Americans are uninformed.
Keep in mind, most people, particularly young people, get their news from these so-called aggregators, whether it's Microsoft or Google or Apple or TikTok or YouTube. And they are not showing this. Anything coming from a conservative source, by and large, they are ignoring it. So much of the country completely ill-informed.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's August 3rd, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is Watermelon Day. The idea is simple. Celebrate the tasty and delicious fruit, which is 92% water, plus it can keep you hydrated. Also on this day in 1958, the U.S. nuclear submarine Nautilus completes the first undersea voyage under the North Pole. It travels nearly 1,000 miles to reach the top of the world. Remember this? A song by the two-man group Los Del Rio, reaching the top of the charts in America, spending more time on the Billboard Hot 100 60 weeks than any other song at the time. Mary Lou Retton becomes the first American woman to capture an individual Olympic gold medal in gymnastics at the Summer Games in Los Angeles in 1984. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again, not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
Looking for a place that feels like home the moment you walk through the door? Then make your way to Shannon's Deli in the heart of downtown Lombard. For more than 25 years, this woman-owned local favorite has been serving up incredible made-to-order sandwiches, homemade soups, crisp salads, and delicious catering that's earned a loyal following throughout DuPage County. Every meal is made with care because at Shannon's, you're not just another customer, you're family. And when the weather's beautiful, grab your lunch or dinner and head upstairs to their rooftop patio. It's the perfect place to relax with friends, enjoy great food, and experience one of downtown Lombard's hidden gems. And Shannon's Deli is just 35 feet from the Metra train station. Plus, when you're ready for dinner, live entertainment, or a classic Irish pub experience, visit their sister restaurant, Shannon's Irish Pub in Glen Ellen, just 2 blocks from the Metra station. Visit shannonsdeli.net and shannonsirishpub.info. That's shannonsdeli.net and shannonsirishpub.info.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal, book telehealth if she feel.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal, book telehealth if she feel.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Hey AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story, and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At JeffBuysYourHouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-575-6745.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. If you're a business owner with unfiled tax returns, tax season is not your friend. This is when the IRS turns up the heat. They match 1099s. They review payroll filings. They compare bank deposits. And when returns are missing, they don't send you a warning. They take action. Penalties stack up fast. Liens become public. Bank levies can drain your account. I see it every year. Good business owners who waited too long, not because they're crooks, but because they were overwhelmed. Let me be clear, hiding makes it worse. Action makes it fixable. I help business owners get compliant, file what's missing, and negotiate from a position of strength, not fear. Don't wait for the next certified letter. Don't wait for a levy. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll tell you exactly what to do next, step by step. Or call me right now at 312-664-6649. Act now before the IRS acts first.
This is Larry O'Connor, editor at townhall.com. I'm sure many of you saw it or at least heard about it. Anthony Fauci pled the fifth. The former director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the National Institutes of Health was appearing before a Senate committee on Wednesday, and he went on to say nothing. He pled the fifth. Well over 100 times. But that doesn't mean it was for nothing. It may well result in further action. Simply put, Fauci was granted a pardon by President Biden. In accepting that pardon, Fauci no longer has the liberty to refuse to testify. But I'd like to express a brief word of appreciation here, and that would be to Senator Rand Paul. Sometimes Rand Paul is brilliant. Sometimes he's a pain, frustrating me to no end. And sometimes I want to give him a medal. And that was this week. That was Rand Paul at his best, his very, very best. He just has not given up on this issue. Thank you, Senator Paul. I'm Larry O'Connor.
Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
So the Democratic message for the 2026 midterm is, we don't love America. That's it. The message from the left is, as long as people that we don't like are allowed to win elections, we hate America. That's a heck of a thing to be running an election on. We hate America.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com. Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be delightful with plenty of sunshine and a high of 80. Tonight, expect a crystal clear sky with a low of 63. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 85. Wednesday will be humid with shifting clouds and sun, possibly leading to a thunderstorm in spots late in the afternoon with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and RFK Jr. sparring with Dana Bash over the weekend, not giving up on this matter of Fauci and the COVID reckoning. And we'll talk later in the show to Justin Hart, who I know is not giving up either. The opportunity that arose last week per Fauci's, that sad little man's 111 time invocation of his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, that congressional hearing extended into the Sunday talkies, as well it should, and it should continue every opportunity. And one of the things that should happen, as we discussed a bit last week, with all the revelations, not surprising, but it's good to have the evidence, the revelations of the cozy relationships that that sad little man enjoyed with the D.C. press corps, who revered him and propagandized on his behalf to make him this superhero, this cause celeb. You go to those shows and you're not a COVIDian, or you were somebody who was attacked by the COVIDians, or some combination of the two. That's exactly where you should start, is with a reckoning for the Jake Tappers and the Dana Bashes and all of them. The full cast of proselytizers on the quote-unquote news desk at CNN, at MS Now, and everywhere else. Otherwise, what's the point? To just allow them to walk past this as if nothing happened, the same way they're doing with the propagandizing they did on behalf of the big guy until that was no longer tenable. And that's what RFK Jr. did in part. I mean, RFK is a complicated figure. He certainly said a lot of silly things. He said a lot of things that are not based in science or, frankly, whether it's public health or environmental science over the years. But he is one of the spokeshumans that we have on the topic here, converts making the greatest zealots and all. And he was particularly zealotous in response to Dana Bash's ongoing propagandizing. And he got right into it with her.
Well, during COVID, we completely dismantled our constitutional rights. We began censoring people in violation of the First Amendment.
But I'm not. You're saying what not to do. I'm asking what to do. But I want to talk about.
That's something to do. That is the number one priority. We protect the Constitution. The Constitution was written.
Forgive me, but you're talking about rights, and I'm asking about a potential public health crisis that is coming. But I do want to
And one of the mistakes we made in the last time was suppressing those rights so people weren't being heard. The doctors who were saying you're doing it wrong were being marginalized and vilified.
Yeah,
and
because again, I really want to move on, but.
Yeah,
you were saying
of course you'll move on. We're part of the problem.
No, there it is. I wasn't part of the problem.
There was absolute press malpractice. You weren't allowing your
Mr. Secretary,
your job
is
a furious skepticism toward authority. And you weren't doing that. You were beating up
My job
people
is also,
who were dissenting.
No. Okay. Are you want to sit here and attack me, or do you want to have conversations about public health?
Me.
I'm not attacking you. I'm asking questions about how to prevent the next pandemic.
Question, and I'll tell you.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I'm talking about public health, not rights. Well, the point that RFK Jr. was getting to is if there hadn't been such an effort by COVIDians to trample all over our constitutional rights, not just with respect to freedom to speak and disagree, but also with respect to lockdowns and so many of the other quote unquote mitigations that were masked, if you would, as mandates, the response would have been better. If you allow for a free people to handle things in a way that's consistent with the foundations of a free society, as opposed to locking everything down and turning 350 million people's lives over to a handful of experts like an autocracy, then you would have had a better response, is the point, you see? And that's a point that can't be made too many times, given what we expect will happen if and when there is another pandemic, given that half the country, or maybe slightly less than half, but certainly where the energy is within the COVIDian party. And they're still, as Bill Maher observed over the weekend, which we'll get to, they're still wearing masks, for God's sakes. By the way, Dana Bash being part of the problem. Remember, I mentioned this last week during the diary entries. Tom Elliott dug this one up. That Dana Bash was one who was having fun with Tony Fauci off the air, praising him on the air and having fun with him off the air. Dana Bash emailing Fauci quotes about how, quote, Jim Jordan trips over his own a-hole trying to debate Tony Fauci. But no, she wasn't part of the problem. She was just a dispassionate scrivener asking questions and trying to obtain information to inform the public. Bull jive.
I think that what I have talked to scientists and
You've
doctors
talked to
about.
scientists. Can you show me one study
Yes, I can.
that shows that
I can.
children were protected by the COVID vaccine?
I can tell you that
That
there are.
vaccine did more good than harm to children. Can you show me one study that shows that?
I can tell you that when it comes to the vaccine, there have been studies that show that because of vaccine
What study?
disinformation, there could have been 100 to 200,000 lives in the U.S. saved. But because people didn't get the vaccine, that's why. I'm not saying that it entirely.
You
Let
are
me finish.
saying
Let me
nonsense.
finish.
You are saying something that you cannot show me.
Okay.
A single study.
I am
that
not
says
saying
that.
nonsense.
You
I
are
am
talking what
Excuse
somebody
me.
told you.
Excuse me.
And you
Let me
cite me the study.
What study? No, what
Cite
studies
me
are
the
you
study.
talking about? You're talking about studies that actually don't exist. I want to talk about.
Cite me the
I am
study
not,
that you're talking about.
I am
you
not
say
here
you've
to
seen
defend.
studies. Cite me the study.
This is not productive. I am not here to defend all of the. Let me
You're
finish.
talking nonsense.
Let
You're
me
making
finish.
assertions you can't support. And then when I call you on them, you're telling me that I'm arguing.
Okay,
with
do you want to?
312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line. And you get into other issues too, like autism, but I don't want to get into that. It's more the approach that RFK Jr. nicely distills that Dana Bash and her ilk take on all of these matters, where they act as government press as long as it's their people in charge of the government at the time.
After study after study, it's one of the most studied things out there in science.
You're repeating
and
it
is
like a parrot. You're repeating
So are
it
you.
like a parrot.
So
I've
are you.
actually read the science. You
you don't
and I
wanna-
come
you don't
back
wanna-
here and debate the
So
science.
I'm not debating this with you.
Of course you won't.
No, because I'm not
all
debating
you know how
all-
to do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's what you did during COVID. Now we know that Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about masks, about social distancing.
All you know how to do is parrot. I'm rubber and you're glue, Dana Bash's response. Impressive. These towering intellects on the cable news channels, aren't they?
I am not saying that the entire way that the COVID reaction was accurate. It was a scary time, and people made mistakes. Absolutely.
You
Let me
were
finish.
scaring people
Why are you saying that?
because that was the job of CNN.
Okay.
Was to put
okay,
the
stop.
chyrons up about
Okay,
how
stop.
many people are
We
dying.
were trying to
To
be.
get people
We were
to
listening
comply.
to the leaders in this country, including the president, who had a daily press conference explaining what was going on and trying to listen.
Were you listening?
I want to
the
talk to
scientists,
measles.
Actually, were you reading the,
The
science
measles.
yourself?
The measles.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about this. Okay, enough. You know, again, the only purpose to go on shows like Dana Bash's is to do something akin to what RFK Jr. did. It could be a little bit stronger, in my view, even than he did it. And with her, excuse me, and I don't want to talk about this, well, then I'll just leave. Of course you don't want to talk about it. So you want to ask me questions, and I'm going to give my answers, and you're going to let me give my answers, or I'll just depart, and people can make up their own minds about who is being forthright with the American people and who is not. And yeah, I'm going to go on in your about your record, because people need to be reminded about what kind of propagandist you are every single day, so they properly understand when you're quote unquote asking questions, you're actually trying to drive a position, a preordained position. You are not even-handed. There is no search for truth. There is no effort to generate a better understanding or facilitate a better understanding among your viewers. That is not your business. Your business is to scare people in the policy direction that you and the collective brain trust at CNN are trying to affect. And it's over and over and over again. So let's make sure everybody retains some institutional knowledge about what kind of person you are and what the real play here is at CNN. As I said last week, I'm looking forward to the forthcoming Jake Tapper, maybe a co-authored by Dana Bash, book about how they were duped by Tony Fauci, who they otherwise treated like this. Dana Bash, December of 2020.
You are seen to many as a superhero, but you are a human being, and you've been working nonstop since all of this began, communicating
Don't call
with the
him
public,
a superhero.
trying to get a handle
He's just a human.
on this pandemic in terms of the science.
A regular man.
How do you keep yourself going in the face of all of this death?
How do you
and
do
disease?
it? You're so great. How do you do it every day?
You know, Dana, it's really just.
I want to inflict more Tony Fauci on you. But I mean, that's probing, right? December of 2020, we're still in the thick of all this nonsense, to borrow an RFK characterization of what Dana Bash spews. And her interview with Tony Fauci, the point guy, the public face of the COVID response, is you're almost superhuman, but you are just a man. How do you do it so well every day? What's the secret to your greatness? Be these people. And so Dana Bash fast forwards one more, trying to get off of COVID, and RFK did a pretty good job trying to keep her on it, so there was a little bit of accountability for her. And then she goes back to a story from the beginning of this administration where supposedly anti-vax, ideologically anti-vax RFK Jr.'s posture on vaccines, generally speaking, is what caused or exacerbated a measles outbreak. Trying to get off of COVID, turn it into a measles outbreak, and turn it back on RFK Jr. When, by the way, as you'll hear, remember the diary and Tony Fauci in his Hello Kitty diary, concerned about the vaccine hesitancy that is leading people not to get other vaccines, like measles, that is leading to an incidence of measles outbreaks. But it's all RFK Jr. and Trump's fault.
Years, you have been one of the leading voices questioning the efficacy of vaccines. Do you accept some responsibility for this measles outbreak?
Absolutely not. First of all, this is an international outbreak. So, and we're doing better at handling it than any country in the world. Mexico has 15 times the amount of measles per capita that we have. Canada has 4 times the amount of measles. England has 2 times the amount of measles. Did I cause those measles outbreaks?
You're the most famous.
Did I cause 137,000 cases?
You're the most famous vaccine skeptic on the planet.
Let me tell you, because actually Anthony Fauci in his diaries answers the question about why we're having a measles outbreak right now. The reason we're having a measles outbreak because of the COVID lockdowns, because children during that period did not get vaccinated. And in his diaries, he says this is going to cause massive outbreaks of measles and more children, he says this, are going to die. Let me finish, because you could accuse me of something.
Right.
Now, let me...
No, I didn't. I asked you a question.
Oh, right. She just asks questions. She doesn't make accusations.
Diaries, more children are going to die from measles because of these lockdowns than COVID.
I love that. It's like an ex-girlfriend of mine. I'm just asking questions. Right. I make accusations in the form of a question, but it's just a question. No, it's not. It's an accusation in the form of a question, and he's responding to the accusation, and he did it so fairly effectively. But that RFK Jr. approach, every Republican should take that approach with members of the D.C. press corps and their regional outposts like in Chicago. Bring the receipts, as the kids say. Now let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
5:33, 63 degrees and a beautiful day shaping up. In the QC Kinetics newsroom this morning, 2 Chicago police officers, a child, and another person were injured in a Southside crash on Sunday evening. It all happened near East 63rd in South Indiana in the city's Washington Park neighborhood. At least 2 vehicles were involved in that crash. A 4-year-old girl is now among 3 Iowa residents killed in a Kendall County crash. The 2-vehicle accident happened on Friday night on Route 71 near Walker Road near the town of Millbrook. 5 were rushed to area hospitals where 3 later died. That crash remains under investigation by Illinois State Police. A woman is recovering, shot during an attempted carjacking on the west side. Police say the victim was getting out of her car in the 4600 block of West 5th when an unknown male approached and pulled a gun. The suspect demanded the woman's vehicle before fleeing the scene. Illinois Secretary of State Alexei Giannoulias is joining a crowded Chicago mayoral race.
I am thrilled, honored, and deeply humbled to announce that I am running to be the next mayor of the city of Chicago.
Giannoulias announcing his candidacy yesterday, confirming months of rumors.
A track record of getting things done. People want competence. People want to know that someone is there that will get things done, that will cut bureaucracy, that will reduce waste, that will make government easier.
While he has a huge campaign war chest, he is just another name running for mayor, including Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza, Representative Mike Quigley, Dr. Lisa Nee, and John Kelly. If you went back to school shopping this weekend, you paid a lot more in sales tax.
The taxes keep going up, and Illinois is like the highest taxes in the country.
Beginning Saturday, sales tax across the city of Chicago went up, and the 5 collar counties. It's all part of a CTA bailout funded by the rest of the state for Mayor Brandon Johnson and pushed by Springfield progressive Democrats led by Governor J.B. Pritzker.
This is just another way of paying for something that should be dealt with in another manner, and McHenry County, I'll be honest with you, has no business being part of this bureaucracy.
Illinois State Representative Steve Reich in McHenry County opposed the bill. The increase will bring in roughly $200 million more this year. An Illinois lawmaker who serves as a police officer says the city of Chicago's new campaign posting signs on CTA trains and stations warning that violence is illegal may be an improvement, but real improvements in public safety will require stronger law enforcement. State Representative Patrick Sheehan is a police officer.
Soft on crime measures and, regards to the Safety Act that absolutely turned our criminal justice system in the state upside down.
Sheehan blamed what he described as years on those so-called soft on crime policies for the need for the campaign and went on to criticize former Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx. Chicago sports. White Sox blow out the Rays 9-1 to win their series in St. Petersburg, while the Cubs dropped their 3-game set to the Yankees following a 2-1 loss. The news service of AutoZone. Get in the zone. Starting stronger begins at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, and in 2 minutes, we'll check our AccuWeather forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Class A Insurance, owned by Thomas Iacenta.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1796, George Washington made one of the most consequential decisions in American history. He chose not to seek a third term as president. So why does that matter? Because America was not built on permanent rulers. It was built on ordered liberty. Faith teaches that authority is a stewardship, not a possession. Leaders are accountable to God for how they use power. And why does that still matter today? Because republics survive when leaders respect limits and citizens defend them. Washington's lesson still stands. A republic is preserved when power has limits, and public service remains a duty to God and country, not a path to personal rule.
Progressive presents Perfectly Bad Excuses for Missing Stuff to spend more time on your ATV.
Hey, Wallace. Not going to the reunion after all. Think I got cursed. Keep, stubbing my toe.
Now that was a bad excuse. If you love your vehicle this much, get customized coverage from Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in D.C.
Okay, all signed up. Easy. Now let's run payroll. What the? Hey girl, I'm you with more gusto. Nice. Who's that? New social media manager. Hired and onboarded with gusto. And spoiler, we're kind of famous now. Wait, we're famous? Oh, well, I'm famous. Payroll, benefits, and HR. Designed and built for small businesses. Choose a future with gusto.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be delightful with plenty of sunshine and a high of 80. Tonight, expect a crystal clear sky with a low of 63. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 85. Wednesday will be humid with shifting clouds and sun, possibly leading to a thunderstorm in spots late in the afternoon. The high will reach 81 on Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. All right, so LEG in the mayor's race. We'll get to that. We'll talk about Chicago mayor's race, that is. David Perel is a podcaster, posed an interesting question, I think one that's kicked around quite a bit in Chicago for anybody who's been here for some period of time. David Perel's How I Write podcast. Anyway, this is his question. Why isn't Chicago a more prominent place? Big city, beautiful architecture, top-tier sports teams. Well, a solid subway system and one of the world's biggest airports. People called it Second City for years. Chicago Bulls were dominant during the 90s, and three of the 2000's biggest names, Kanye, Obama, and Oprah, rose to fame there as well. Maybe you're answering your own question. But the cultural spotlight has moved away from Chicago. I hear about cities like L.A., San Francisco, New York City, Miami, Dallas, Austin, and even Nashville, much more. Yeah, but that's because where all the Chicagoans have moved. There's got to be a good story here, and I'm curious to hear it. Why isn't Chicago a more prominent place? Is that too prosaic? 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line if you want to answer that in the context of this mayor's race, because that is the context. He goes on and, back and forth. I guess what I'm curious about is why it was so much more prominent 20 years ago than today. The weather's the same as it's always been, but maybe the crime and corruption have gotten worse. Worse? I don't know. Same as it's always been. Crime and corruption? Yeah, same as it's always been. Why? What's happened in the past 20 years? The loss of prominence. Here are the best answers he got from his perspective. See if these resonate with you. 4 best responses. Here's one. The less culturally influential Chicago becomes, the more livable it gets. A lot of its neighborhoods are better than they were in the 90s and 2000s. It's a common pattern. European cities and towns are not very influential anymore, but they are very livable. Influence and livability reward opposite things. No. I don't think so. No, the disintegration of the city makes it more livable. That seems to be the argument being advanced here. I don't see it that way. I mean, it just turns logic on its head, frankly. As the quality of life declines, it becomes more livable. I mean, sure, as people flee, there you have a downward trajectory, maybe in terms of, although not even in terms of cost, based on what I see from the rents and so forth. So I don't know how a city that is, as I say, devolving, that is seeing its quality of life afforded its residents decline precipitously in some neighborhoods. I don't know how that makes it more livable or certainly attractive to live in. Anyway, that's one of what he said, the best 4 answers. Another one, incredible city, grew up there. Architectural legacy and stock is just wonderful. The lakefront's a treasure, as are its parks. Well, one of its parks just got defiled by the Obamalisk. There's another example maybe of what's happening the last 20 years. The people are fantastic. Okay. So much going for it. There are many obvious problems, crime being the most obvious, but there's a deeper one. Chicago itself already believes it's a world-class city like New York and LA, but it's not, but it thinks it is, and that's a major holdback. Chicago lacks self-awareness of where it really stands. All that said, it doesn't need to be anything more than it is. It could be, but it doesn't need to be. But if it thinks it's something it's not, then the mismatch is a latent problem that'll prevent it from fulfilling whatever additional potential it thinks it has. The city, the personification of the city as sort of a human being, it's not what it thinks it is, and so it needs an attitude adjustment. No, the populace definitely needs an attitude adjustment, needs to propagate a new mentality, but not in the way this guy thinks. It's not a self-esteem issue. I mean, from his perspective, too much self-esteem. Okay. That strikes me as so much psychobabble. One more. This gets a little bit closer to it. This is a little bit more thoughtful. There's 2 more, actually, but we're going from particularly cold to much warmer. Alexander Lacherbauer. Chicago's relevance or prominence seems to have peaked in the 90s, 2000s. Why? It's a mix of factors. Some are simply beyond anyone's control. Things naturally age out. The Bulls, John Hughes films, Oprah, Springer, real cultural treasure. Even Obama's rise. Moments and phenomenons pass. One of the biggest factors, though, was local leadership. Mayor Richard M. Daley was an aggressive booster who took promoting and running the city quite personally. It showed in the development and civic momentum during those years. The population grew for the first time in 50 years. Daley seemed to seize every opportunity that arose, even if he didn't get everything right. Selling the parking meters, tearing up Mix Field. Anyway, some of that momentum carried into Rahm's administration. It's totally gone now with the shambolic Lightfoot and Johnson mayorships. Also, rising crime numbers during pro-crime State's Attorney Kim Foxx's tenure contributed to a perception that Chicago was less hospitable to residents and businesses. Shootings and lootings were regular headlines. Economically, while Chicago remains a major financial center, it didn't emerge from the Great Recession with the same renewed momentum as New York, and it never captured the scale of VC and startup boom that transformed the Bay Area. Chicago seems to be coasting on past momentum, and momentum decays unless new energy is continually applied. I mean, there's some truth to that. But the problem with looking at Chicago like this, as I've argued many times before, in an episodic way, there's Daley, then there's Rahm, then there's Lightfoot, then there's Beal and Brandon, like they're siloed, as opposed to looking at the city on a continuum, which is how it actually either swings up or swings down. You missed the point. Oh, Daley's was seizing every opportunity. Oh, yeah, he was a booster. No, he was a city booster. I mean, right. I mean, the daily in Chicago synonymous over the last half century. But the policies, particularly M chose and didn't choose, sowed the seeds for what followed. Why do you think he got out? Because he didn't want to be mayor anymore after 20 years? Do we remember? Yeah, I think that misses the mark in terms of why Chicago. Why isn't it not more prominent? Why are its best days 20 to 30 years in the past? Here's the best answer that he got, and it's from a piece by our friend Jeff Carter that we talked about a couple years back when he first wrote it at his blog. The idea of closed networks. One of the most important characteristics of a closed network environment like Chicago is that you need a patron to gain entry to and move up in the network. He references the "we don't want nobody scent" that's on throw pillows in every alderhuman's front room. The phrase comes from Abner Mikva's first attempt to get into Chicago politics, and he cites the anecdote. One day in 1948, energized by the candidacy of Paul Douglas, Mr. Mikva presented himself at the 8th Ward Regular Democrat Organization headquarters. I came in and I said I wanted to help, Mikva told historian Milton Rakoff, wrote the book. Dead silence. Who sent you? The committeeman said. I said, nobody. He said, we don't want nobody sent, a phrase Rakoff took for the title of his oral history of Chicago politics. By contrast, Silicon Valley is an open network. Clearly, relationships, patron-client relationships matter a lot there, but the network is permeable. As Jeff Carter says, the question is much more, can you do it, than who do you know? New York City is similar. It's a very competitive market, but an open one. The idea of Chicago as a closed market, that it's a who do you know, not can you do it, speaks to why we have this kakistocracy. And of course, it radiated out from Chicago into the suburbs and then consumed the state. That is a much closer and more fulsome description of what's metastasized. It didn't just happen with Triple Threat and BLM Brandon. It metastasized. We were down this road to serfdom, and Lightfoot and Brandon Johnson have increased our gait down that road. That's all. But the closed system is still the closed system. It's just sometimes the preferred who do you knows change. And that's what identitarian politics brings you, which is what everybody on the left embraced. Honkies, Latinos, blacks, Asians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They buy into the premise of the closed system. How do we get control of the closed system to distribute the spoils of government to the people we know? That's how it works. And that's a perfect segue to Ali G, because that's what he is proposing with the typical platitudinous bull jive. And of course, he is so contrived, this Mimbo Ali G, so contrived that even when he tries to say, I'm not contrived, it's contrived.
In times like these, Chicago needs a mayor.
I know what you're thinking.
Record
not
scratch.
Another political ad. Believe me, I hate him as much as you do. That's why I'm not going to insult you with false political promises and poll-tested cliches that no one even believes. I'm going to do what I've always done.
Yeah, no BS. I'm going to tell the truth. The record scratch. So creative. I mean, aren't you tired of politicians and the same old pablum? Yeah, me too. Oh, I got an ad that tells you how sick of it I am, and then I sit down with Marianne Ahern and I engage in the same pablum I'm decrying.
Well, I love the city of Chicago. I love it with every ounce of my soul and my heart. You know, my parents were immigrants. They met here in Chicago. I lived here my whole life. We're raising our 4 girls here. I'm never leaving Chicago. I hope my girls never leave Chicago, and I remain maniacally bullish on the city's future. Unfortunately, we've settled for city government that just hasn't met the moment. And, we have a city that's filled with hard-working people who've done everything right. They go to work every day. They've started their business. They're raising their families. They pay taxes. And not only...
Groundbreaking stuff, isn't it? He's not your typical politician who, after his family's mobbed up bank got bailed out with your money, has been just running around gaining the office of Secretary of State and looking for, the sashes to wear, trying to socially climb in the political circles. Groundbreaking. Closed network, but and you can tell from the people who showed up to his announcement and the people who've donated to his nascent candidacy that the guys that were in the closed network who have been out of the closed network, more out than in over the last two mayoralties, they want back in. And they're hoping that he's their conduit, this Mimbo, Ali G. Ron, Southside, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, that was just some phony BS garbage. He is sickening. But you know what, Dan? Right now, as far as the mentioned candidates, I'm not impressed with any of them. So I hope maybe someone else gets in with all of them. All of them are the exact same to me. From the same system. The same system. So that's it. But that guy is garbage. Have a good day, Dan.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's all, first of all, the word oleaginous was created to describe Alexei Giannoulias. That's number one. Number two, all these, whether it's the honkies like Ali G and John Kelly or Susana Mendoza, it's all basically a version of build a bigger, better, stronger Chicago. The rap you're hearing from BLM Brandon. It's the same tired rap from the same people who've been, as Ron just said, in the closed network more often than they've been out of it. Susana Mendoza, who's been in office for 2 decades. John Kelly, who made his money being a flack for rent seekers in the closed network. And Ali G, same way. He ran for Senate, treasurer, then Secretary of State, now mayor. Looking to give his life meaning the same way that Jelly Belly did. And he'll pretend to be a banker the same way that JB pretends to be a tech entrepreneur. Oh, yeah, he's a bootstrapper. He made his money. Yeah. George in Naperville.
Yes, what happened to Chicago, you asked? When we lost Bozo, we lost our soul.
Yeah.
He was a huge cultural influence.
Yeah, we may have lost the Bozo, but we still have a lot of clowns, don't we, George?
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
It's hard to deny the constant attack of negative emotions that flood us online. The fear, anxiety, worry, and confusion that come from the constant stream of news and social media can be overwhelming. There is a way to escape this never-ending cycle and find peace, hope, and joy in your daily life. Christianity.com, with a wide range of daily devotionals, biblical answers to life's toughest questions, and insightful Bible study articles from your favorite pastors and authors on current events and issues, Christianity.com provides a little heaven on earth. Go to Christianity.com now.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up at 6:06, we'll extend our conversation on the Chicago mayor's race a bit more now that you've got three of the more, and likely to be more, well-financed candidates in the race, Mendoza, Ali G., and John Kelly, and get your reactions. That's 6:06. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
It would have been the biggest attack since World War II. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump tells reporters on Air Force One, an attack on Iran he called off over the weekend.
Frankly, Saudi Arabia didn't want it either. They thought that the deal is imminent.
Several Gulf countries urged the president to let talks continue with Iran.
They're concerned that if the United States targets Iranian energy infrastructure, that the response would mean missile fire toward gas and oil fields in the Persian Gulf. Some of these areas, like the liquefied natural gas production in Qatar, for example, or other American-linked energy infrastructure in Saudi Arabia. It's interesting, though, the Iranians today saying that these talks aren't directly taking place with the Americans. And we've seen in the past that they make these statements simply to a domestic audience. Oftentimes, they'll say one thing publicly and then something else behind the scenes at the negotiating table.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst. The president insists he won't let Iran get nuclear weapons, and he's trying to get the Strait of Hormuz fully open, ending shipping disruptions. And this morning, the pause in strikes and the talks have oil prices dropping about 5%. Tens of thousands of people remain out of their homes in the Spokane, Washington area, evacuated as wildfires keep burning. More than 600 homes and other structures are destroyed. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson says
there are just so many Washingtonians who have literally lost everything in a very, very short period of time. Just in a matter of hours, their lives changed.
3 still uncontained fires have burned more than 7,000 acres. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche may move forward at tomorrow's committee vote in the Senate. Last night, he formally rescinded the controversial $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund that was part of the IRS tax settlement. 2 Republican senators, John Cornyn and Tom Tillis, have demanded that that fund be dissolved, or else they had threatened to vote against Blanche's nomination to be Attorney General, which would have potentially blocked Blanche from being confirmed. America's listening to Fox News. 63 degrees on a Monday at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. 2 Chicago police officers, a child, and another person were hurt in a Southside crash Sunday evening. Chicago Fire reports it all happened near East 63rd and South Indiana. At least 2 vehicles were involved in that crash. A 4-year-old girl is among 3 Iowa residents killed in a Kendall County crash. The 2-vehicle accident happened Friday night near Route 71 and Walker Road in Millbrook. The crash remains under investigation. Illinois Secretary of State Alexei Giannoulias is joining the crowded Chicago mayor's race.
I am thrilled, honored, and deeply humbled to announce that I am running to be the next mayor of the city of Chicago.
He joins a list of other candidates running for mayor, including Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza, George Cardenas, and John Kelly. Illinois adding protection for kids on social media. Governor Pritzker signing the Children's Social Media Safety Act.
We are requiring companies to make social media safer for kids. So with my signature on the Children's Online Social Media Safety Act, we are establishing some of the nation's strongest online protections for young people.
The law also includes provisions to shield the precise location of minors and provides further limits of digital currency transactions. White Sox blow out the Rays 9-1. Cubs drop their 3-game set to the Yankees with a 2-1 loss at Wrigley. The news, a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland's state-of-the-art smart security systems, protecting your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks 708-889-5600. A check of traffic and weather comes your way next on AM 560.
Hugh Hewitt wants to finish the job.
I just finished a new article on President Trump's need to finish the job. It cites Napoleon's maxim, if you start to take Vienna, take Vienna. Every military strategist going back 1,000 years If you start a campaign, finish the campaign. Do not execute the perfect half measure, which gets your people killed on the way up the hill.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you haven't switched to Pure Talk because you're not sure their coverage is every bit as reliable as Big Wireless, why not take them for a test drive? For a limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited data plan. No contracts, no commitments. Just a great deal on a high-speed network with unlimited data from an American wireless company. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Born on America's darkest day, September 11th, 01, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, they have been helping American heroes ever since. Heroes like U.S. Army Sergeant William Bernard McKenna, exposed to burn pits. McKenna later died from T-cell lymphoma, leaving his wife, Dina, and 2 daughters. Tunnel to Towers honored Sergeant McKenna. They paid off the family's mortgage in honor of all of his sacrifice. Donate $11 a month. If you have a car to donate, if you have land to donate, go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org today.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
So the Democratic message for the 2026 midterm is, we don't love America. That's it. The message from the left is, as long as people that we don't like are allowed to win elections, we hate America. That's a heck of a thing to be running an election on. We hate America.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
6:07, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Accident being cleared outbound on the Edens Expressway at Tower Road. On the Kennedy inbound, your off-ramp to Lawrence Avenue completely shut down, all due to that collapsed retaining wall that came down over the weekend. Lakeshore Drive has been reopened after a much earlier accident southbound at 31st, and delays as you travel on the near north side. Division and Clark report of an accident being swept out of your way. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 mobile app and 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be delightful with plenty of sunshine and a high of 80. Tonight, expect a crystal clear sky with a low of 63. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 85. Wednesday will be humid with shifting clouds and sun, possibly leading to a thunderstorm in spots late in the afternoon. The high will reach 81 on Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, talking about the mayor's race in Chicago. You know, that primary, February of next year, right around the corner. Be here before you know it. And then a runoff to April if nobody gets 50% plus one, which is pretty likely there'll be a runoff considering the number of candidates. Will BLM Brandon be one? Stacey Davis Gates, she the queen of the CTU and the IEA here, Teachers Union statewide, doing a bang-up job. She's ready to get on past petitions for BLM Brandon.
Look, I hope to see Mayor Johnson come off the sideline, and I hope to see the people who support him get out here and pass a petition. If he's not going to pass one, I'll pass one for him.
Okay. He's got to get in it, though, right?
Well, or maybe we can say that we still have his back and cajole him to get into it. Look, I think that the city has done better. Certainly, Chicago Public Schools has done better. Where the governor has failed to fund our schools, the mayor has given us $1 billion. In fact, we're going to look to him again for his leadership in this moment. And I don't think we've done better at Chicago Public Schools than we have than under his leadership. And so I'm going to look forward to that progress.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, better. You're probably thinking like in terms of the quality of the education and what you see in terms of student performance. No, that's not how you measure the performance of Chicago Public Schools or any schools in this state. You know that. We're number one in property taxation. Nice try, New Jersey. We're number one in Illinois in property taxation for a reason. Nobody cares less about their home values than Illinois families, and nobody is more committed to writing blank checks to K through 12 government school systems, regardless of student performance. And nowhere is that more evident than in Chicago. That's how you measure. You measure performance of the schools based on how much more money is being poured into the system, how many more adults you're hiring, not your enrollment or the performance of the students that matriculate at your institutions. And to that point, this is, all just when BLM Brandon got installed by the teachers union in 2023. No, I don't think so. Going back to 2019, enrollment in CPS, according to their own numbers, which are dubious, enrollment in CPS in the last 7 years, has dropped 12.5%. Staff has increased by 26%, nearly 10,000. And the budget correspondingly has increased by 71%. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. School's never doing better, as Stacey Davis Gates says. Now you understand what she means. And if you didn't understand what she means, then you haven't been paying very close attention. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. But before BLM Brandon has to go, and so whoever makes the runoff and this and that, sorry, I'm not on board for that. This is another opportunity, by the way, just as a quick aside, because I've mentioned this, I don't know, every cycle since Mayor Daley decided not to run for re-election. What an opportunity it is for the Illinois Republican Party and the Chicago Republican Party to find a quality candidate, scrape together a little bit of cash, and try to establish a beachhead for the GOP brand, or a beachhead, a rebrand plus a beachhead for the rebrand in Chicago, where people are actually paying attention, and not just in Chicago, but of course in Chicagoland. Everybody's paying attention to the mayor's race, much more so than the governor's race. What an opportunity. And yet, what are we hearing and seeing and doing? The same thing we've heard and seen and done. Rahm to triple threat to BLM Brandon. We'll just sit back and see who makes it, and then, or we'll take whatever, whoever is the least offensive, most pliable neo-Marxist, and we'll finance them. That's what the donors do. That's what the voters do. That's what the Republican Party does. And you wonder why there is no definition and no interest and no relevance. Opportunity again this cycle with 15 candidates. Boy, a Spencer Pratt type candidate could really establish that, could really facilitate that rebrand and perhaps establish a beachhead, change the nature of the conversation, open some eyes and minds. But that's just too much heavy lifting. That requires too much creative thinking for both the donor class on the center right as well as for the actual party leaders, such as they are. Well, it's a challenge to my friend Bob Grogan as the newly minted Republican Party state chairman. Somebody do something. All right. Whatever. Nah, we'll just go with Ali G. Or John Kelly. I've saw some people say John Kelly is like a Spencer Pratt candidate. How? What, I'm sorry, what are you seeing? This is his intro spot, where he's riding on the CTA because he's a regular guy, just like Tiny Dancer was a regular guy who used to ride on the CTA. How often has John Kelly been commuting in and around the city on the CTA, do you think? Real insurgent campaign.
Chicago used to be known as the city that works. Not anymore. It's early evening. I'm on the L, and it's almost empty because Chicagoans are afraid to ride the train at night. That's not a city that works. I'm John Kelly, and I'm running for mayor of Chicago because keeping people safe should be the mayor's #1 priority. We used to have about 400 police officers riding the trains. On my first day as mayor, I'm going to start putting them back. There are 154 police officers on Mayor Johnson's security team. I'm going to cut that by 75% and put 100 more police officers on the trains immediately. I'll hire more police, and after my first year in office, we're going to have 1,000 more police officers on the streets. The city budget is now $17 billion. We can afford to hire enough police officers to keep the train safe.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And we can put up 7,000 signs that say violence is illegal, like the Cook County State's Attorney's Office is doing, too. Wonderful. Ali G said, I want to return ShotSpotter. Wonderful. John Kelly's tagline, love Chicago, demand better. Is that somebody that's proposing a paradigm shift? Spencer Pratt, guerrilla campaign? Come on. Seriously? I mean, you can delude yourself. That's your choice, but you're not going to delude me. It's the same old bromides. And yeah, it's great that Kelly is not, a neo-Bolshevik and he's talking about 1,000 more cops, and that Ali G is pantomiming somebody that has taken market feedback and said, okay, bring ShotSpotter back, even while he is doing the progressive dance to try and middle the issue because he's an empty vessel, because he's a mimbo. Wonderful. These are bullet points. What you need is, as I said, the propagation of a new mentality. Do you hear that from any of these candidates? No. What they're saying is very trite, and it is vision free. It's just bullet points. Oh, wonderful, because it's such an easy contrast to BLM Brandon. Although that contrast will become less impressive when it is parroted by a number of candidates. But there's nobody that's offering an overarching vision. There's nobody that is saying we need to, adjust the way that we think about city government, what it should be in the business of and what it shouldn't be. And city government's relationship with state government, with respect to federal government. I'm law and order. Oh, really? You're law and order? Are you going to move to rescind the sanctuary city designation for Chicago? Are you going to allow Chicago police to respond, say, to federal law enforcement when they make a request for help? (312-642-5600) alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line. Tony and Roselle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I wanted to touch on the $1 billion in the CPS. And usually, as usual, the left confuses spending with accomplishing. You have a school system in which 30% of the kids read at grade level, 20% are proficient in math. And going back to your next subject, with the laws and the crime, Laws without repercussions are merely suggestions, and you're seeing the result of that every day. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Let me fold Susana Mendoza into the conversation as well. She was first out of the gate, at least with respect to the other two that have 7 figures in their campaign accounts. Again, this was her pitch. Same sort of, son, daughter of immigrants, origin story, and
when I'm your mayor, Chicago will be open for business, but never up for sale.
Yeah, right.
I was born in this neighborhood, the proud daughter of Mexican immigrants, and I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. It was more like a plastic spork. I believe government should work for the people, not for insiders who can write big checks. Chicagoans deserve the best, most experienced person as their next mayor. Not powered by special interests, powered by Chicagoans. Let's get to work, Chicago! Let's go! Thank you!
She's so spunky. That's what we need, a spunky career politician who wants to get to work, get things done for people, which was literally Rod Blagojevich's tagline in 2008. Getting things done for people. And that's what you're getting things done. Could you be less descriptive? No, you couldn't be. Oh, yeah, I like the sound of that. Let's get some things done for some people. Interested in any definition to the things and the people? Nah. Greg, Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Then there's Mike Quigley, my congressman.
Oh yeah, from our gang, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Froggy.
Yeah, the mastodon of mediocrity. I mean, you talk about somebody who gets nothing done and does whatever he's told. He's the epitome of that. I mean, the guy's currently collecting a pension from Cook County Board of Commissioners. As soon as he quits as a congressman, he'll be getting a nice big fat pension from that. And he wants to come in and serve one term as mayor so he can soak more money out of the people of Chicago. Unbelievable. It's a collection of morons we got running here.
Thanks for the call, Greg. What's your proudest accomplishment, when you think about Mike Quigley's storied career as a Cook County Commissioner and in Congress? What's the greatest accomplishment, do you think? What was the greatest accomplishment Susana Mendoza had as a alderhuman and state comptroller? What's the greatest accomplishment Ali G has had as state treasurer and secretary of state? Oh, I got it. Credit where credit's due.
This is about more than just paperwork. It's about protecting taxpayer dollars. Procurement makes sure that taxpayer dollars are spent wisely. That's why I'm especially proud today to announce that we've earned the Achievement of Excellence in Procurement Award from the National Procurement Institute. It's a tribute to the dedicated professional.
I mean, how about that? You make sure you know that's part of his record. The National Procurement Institute gave them everybody gets a trophy in the Secretary of State's offices around the country. Excellence in procurement at the Secretary of State's office. Man, it revolutionized the Secretary of State's office. I mean, the masturbatory press conference. So proud. And we're proud of him. Take that, you Illinois naysayers. The Institute for Procurement, blah, 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 has spoken. Bill, Northwest Side.
Here's a thought, Dan. How about a mayoral candidate that actually tells the truth? And the truth is, the problem with Chicagoans is you. You're the problem. The problems we're discussing this morning have been going on a long time, and apparently the people who live in Chicago are okay with it because they let it happen. They are the problem, and until they change their attitude and their actions, it's going to continue.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Yeah, and, don't focus on the story that we brought you a couple months back that Ali G, the Mimbo, who's probably, right now, he's probably getting ready for his anal bleaching appointment at East Bank Club. I think that's every other day, is what I understand. Anyway, $300,000 in donations from trucking companies at the same time as he's presiding over a CDL program, which Sean Duffy, National Transportation Agency, found 1 in 5 licenses issued by Ali G were done so illegally. George Ryan went to prison so did Scott Faywell, in part for licenses for bribes. Ali G has institutionalized it, and all the D.C. press corps, Marion Ahern, can focus on is his award from the Procurement Institute, National Procurement Institute, model Secretary of State's office. Yeah. Because he's targeting ICE. So this is a law and order guy because he's for ShotSpotter cameras. Meanwhile,
you may have seen this video recently on social media. It shows an ICE agent confronting someone filming a vehicle and saying,
you can record all you want.
I am.
Change plates out every day.
Well, I have a big problem with that. You see, swapping out Illinois license plates on Illinois registered vehicles is illegal. And as Secretary of State,
law and order all the way when it comes to federal law enforcement. Going to hold them accountable. Those illegally obtaining CDL licenses and killing people on Illinois' roadways. Anything to say to Joe Abraham, LEG? Oh, Marion Ahern didn't ask that. No. She just sort of categorized old issues. You and Jaws Durango and Broadway Bank and the taxpayer bailout of your failed bank and old issues like that. Relationship with Perry Mandera. Old issues. No. Judge him on his award from the Procurement Institute, won't you?
They'll look at your whole record. And so there were some issues in that race. Will they resurface, or do you think that is old news, move on?
I'd say judge me on my record as Secretary of State. I could not be more proud of the work we've done to modernize.
How about the 529 program, the management of that while he was state treasurer? Yeah. No. Focus on the fact that I'm buddies with Obama, one of his professional rebounding friends like Arnie Duncan. Look how far it took Arnie Duncan. And, my phony baloney awards from Phony Baloney Institutes. Marty in Naperville.
Good morning. A couple things, Dan, real quick. Mendoza gets in. It'd be a great daily dose of press conferences from a woman who sounds like a pissed-off Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, she does. The voice, the Betty Boop voice, I don't know if I can take that for 4 years.
And number two, Giannulli is running on this slogan, something to the effect of, everyone should benefit on your success.
Thanks for the call, Marty. Jim, Crown Point.
I wish they would just tell the truth of why they're running for mayor. Oh, we want to go on junkets. I want to go to Africa to study their economy, or I want the free gifts in the so I can store them in my room.
The graft room, right.
Yeah, and the second Mayor Daley bowed out when they didn't get the Olympics. That I still laugh about that.
Thanks for the call, Jim. Jose at Midway.
Hey, Dan, is any candidate you know of talking about practicing austerity? Any of them?
Oh, they're all against waste, fraud, and abuse, Jose, so they're going to get that budget in order. Don't you worry.
This has gotten out of hand, and everybody just votes according to the way it is in Chicago. You got to love straight party voting. I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks for the call, Jose. Well, again, why shouldn't BLM Brandon tell beautiful lies if all of his opponents are going to? And why shouldn't his opponents get to tell beautiful lies if everybody before them has? That's what the Chicago electorate wants, or at least that's all they get. So maybe, that's why I say maybe, if you had a center-right candidate that was compelling, you could quickly and materially change the conversation and understanding of what's happening. But, in the absence of a vehicle for a different approach, a different mentality, a different understanding, somebody that can explain the closed network problem Chicago has that I was describing earlier in the program, well, all you get is the beautiful lies. So, for example, just, BLM Brandon on those violence interrupters, the community violence people that he's, distributed the resources to as a halfway step to move away from policing, because, of course, policing in prisons are a sickness, BLM Brandon's position. He gets to tell beautiful lies. They all do. And different segments of the electorate will nod their heads when they do.
Where CVI exists, we have seen reductions as high as 45 to 50% in gun violence. And I commend these brothers and sisters who have returned out of a system that was never designed to rehabilitate them. But yet somehow they found enough hope to bring inspiration into the communities that they were traumatized by. Their effectiveness is better confirmed than the closing of schools. I can tell you how ineffective that was, because where schools were closed, violence proliferated. Where public housing was shut down, and when people cannot afford rent, and when they are forced out without just cause, it creates more instability and violence goes up in those particular communities. Think about how powerful that is. A community that traumatized you sends you to a system that further traumatized you, but yet somehow by God's grace you come through that and you're able to help drive down violence in communities that have been suffering from disinvestment for decades. I think we should figure out how to give CVI a raise and tax the rich to do it.
CVI, community violence interrupters. I mean, that is the sort of fiction that you would find in perhaps a screenplay for a movie that Spike Lee would direct. I mean, it's just, there's nothing true about anything he just said, but so what? What does it matter? Who else is, is there anybody else that is on the level? No. So why should BLM Brandon be? He has his particular point of view, and he's going to drive it to serve his particular constituency, and the others will do the same. And may the tallest midget win.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Insurance came out about the roof, offered us $15,000. I was thrilled.
I know it seems like a lot, but I'm not sure that number is that generous. Insurance is usually going to lowball you.
I mean, I already found 2 companies who could replace it for that.
Sure, contractors will make it fit that budget, but they're cutting corners to make it work.
How's that?
Cheap materials, lower grade shingles with a poor warranty, reusing old flashing, cheap underlayment.
How would I even know?
You wouldn't. That's exactly why I'd call New Edge Improvement. They'll go through your insurance quote line by line, catch what's being cut, and fight to get you covered. You have a beautiful home, and New Edge Improvement will do a quality install and help you get the roof you're owed. One that matches the quality of what you had.
Thanks. I'll give New Edge Improvement a call.
New Edge Improvement. Visit them today at newedgeimprovement.com. Again, that's newedgeimprovement.com and tell them AM 560 sent you.
AM 560. The Answer.
Text from 312. John Kelly says there's enough in the $17 billion budget to hire more cops. Wow. Groundbreaking. Epiphanal. No kidding. Anybody with a room temperature IQ knows that. I'm supposed to be impressed? Wow. Of course there is. Grief. I mean, could the standards be any lower? They are subterranean in this place. So check the headlines with Mike Scott.
62 degrees sunshine this morning in the QC Kinetics newsroom. 2 Chicago police officers, a child, and another person injured in a Southside crash. It happened late Sunday evening. Chicago Fire first responded near 163rd in South Indiana in the city's Washington Park neighborhood. At least 2 vehicles were involved in that crash. Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias joining the crowded Chicago mayor's race, announcing his candidacy yesterday.
A track record of getting things done. People want competence. People want to know that someone is there that will get things done, that will cut bureaucracy, that will reduce waste, that will make government easier.
He joins a long list of other candidates already running. President Trump says talks with Iran resumed today. The president halted new airstrikes on Iran ahead of planned talks, although he did not disclose where the talks would be held. Spokane, Washington remains under a major threat from wildfires. Embers went across the Spokane River and started fires in residential areas.
About 60,000 individuals were evacuated in that amount of time. I think that's extraordinary.
Officials say hundreds of structures have already been reduced to ash. Idaho police say an armed bystander and an off-duty state trooper saved lives during a deadly shooting on Saturday. The bystander and the trooper both opened fire on a suspect at a burger restaurant in Twin Falls, helping drive him away from the scene. FBI Special Agent in charge of Salt Lake City, Robert Bowles.
We have committed the full weight of our resources to the Twin Falls Police Department, deploying every investigative and intelligence tool at our disposal.
The shooter, ID'd as Chad Williams, used a rifle to kill 3 and wound 7 others before turning the gun on himself. An Illinois lawmaker who serves as a police officer says Chicago's new campaign posting signs on CTA trains and stations warning that violence is illegal is a positive step, but real improvements in public safety will require a stronger law enforcement presence. State Representative Patrick Sheehan.
Soft on crime measures and, regards to the Safety Act that absolutely turned our criminal justice system in the state upside down.
And an Illinois federal judge is tossing a lawsuit by the Trump administration to obtain full access to Illinois voter registration database. The Justice Department requested access to assure Illinois' compliance with federal law. The judge said that request is not a legitimate reason for demanding the data. White Sox beat the Rays 9-1. Cubs lost to the Yankees 2-1, and the Bears continued training camp at Hallis Hall. A check of traffic and weather is coming your way next on AM 560.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Virago and by State Farm Insurance Agent Anthony DeGrotto.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
You know that feeling when you call your insurance company and you know that you're getting put into queue? Nobody wants to go through that, specifically Tommy and TJ Iaquinta with Class A Insurance. They're a father and son team built right here in Chicago's southwest suburbs on one idea: treat people like family. See, because they're independent, they're not stuck in pushing one company policy on you, one company rates on you. They shop the best carriers in the country. Names you'd recognize: and find coverage that actually fits your life, your home, your car, even your boat and motorcycle. That's why they've been named one of the top 25 home insurance agencies in Chicago. 2 generations, 1 agency, and clients that stick with them for years. When something happens and claims happen, Tommy or TJ is the one who picks up the phone and walks you through the process themselves. If you're paying for a policy you don't understand from a company you never talk to, it's simple. Head to 560insurance.com. That's 560insurance.com. Get a free quote in minutes at 560insurance.com.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1796, George Washington made one of the most consequential decisions in American history. He chose not to seek a third term as president. So why does that matter? Because America was not built on permanent rulers. It was built on ordered liberty. Faith teaches that authority is a stewardship, not a possession. Leaders are accountable to God for how they use power. And why does that still matter today? Because republics survive when leaders respect limits and citizens defend them. Washington's lesson still stands. A republic is preserved when power has limits, and public service remains a duty to God and country, not a path to personal rule.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance.
Center time. Let's update you on a situation you'll experience today on Metra's Milwaukee North line. Service is suspended from around 6:30 this morning. Actually, it started just a few minutes ago until 2:30 this afternoon. Construction is forcing all outbound trains to terminate at Lake Forest, so you cannot get from Lake Forest out to Fox Lake. Just a reminder, plan ahead. And an accident on the right-hand shoulder, southbound at Palatine Road on Route 53. Tri-State, southbound right at I-190 as you're headed to the big airport. You've got an accident. 2 left lanes are blocked. And again, a reminder on the Kennedy, a collapsed retaining wall has completely shut down the inbound off-ramp to Lawrence Avenue. Traffic, a service of Capital One. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase with the Capital One Venture X business card. Big purchasing power means you can spend more and earn more. The Capital One Venture X business card. What's in your wallet? See CapitalOne.com for details. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Nice day ahead, plenty of sunshine, a high of 83.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yeah, our Real American Heroes segment that we've been doing for several weeks now. We've been able to share some great stories. Appreciate those. What we do is take stories of people submitted by listeners, people who are not household names, but who've been part of what has made America great for 250 years through the life that they have led. We are trying to extol the lessons from their lives so as to encourage replication, right? What a society extols, it begets. And again, taking stories all the time. Dan@danproft.com. You can email me directly to nominate somebody who you think whose story should be known, even if it's not known outside of their, close circle of friends and family. Today, it's from Margot in Burr Ridge. 2 unsung great Americans. Her father and her grandmother. Her father and her father's mother. And here's the story. My grandmother was widowed in September of 1929 when grandfather was hit by a drunk driver. She was left with a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. The Depression hit the following month. She sold her house in Sharon, Pennsylvania, and bought a ranch in Canada, so there was a roof over her family's head and food on the table. My father was the 4-year-old, and one of his many chores was to milk the cows morning and night, winter and summer. He did not attend school in the winter because he did not possess shoes. The small town had 2 main career paths for its few occupants. There were the lucky ones, the farmers, and there were the long haulers. The truckers tended to be less stable and spent much of their rare time at home binging on alcohol. During the troubled times, my grandfather took in the children of these people and kept them fed, warm, and safe. Grandmother did that because grandfather had passed, killed by a drunk driver. As her children became teenagers, she realized she had but one small farm and 3 children. She sold her farm and bought the largest house she could afford in State College, Pennsylvania, across the street from the campus of Penn State. She was determined her children would be college educated. She opened a boarding house for students, doing the cooking and cleaning herself. Her children helped as well. My father had 3 jobs simultaneously to help with expenses. World War II came, and when he was old enough, my father volunteered for the Air Force, where he achieved the rank of captain. When I was asked why the men of his generation were so much more conscientious, serious, manly than those of my generation, he answered after a few moments of reflection, quote, "When we went out on a sortie, there were always 10 planes going out. 10 planes never came back. So at breakfast, we understood that someone would not be there for dinner that night. It makes you grow up fast, I guess." After the war, he went back to his mother's boarding house and got his degree in engineering from Penn State, married his college sweetheart, and then went to Korea for that war. Though he never talked about it, at some point in one of those wars, he took shrapnel so deep in his body that it could not be removed. He did receive the Purple Heart for this. Due to this injury for the rest of his life, sitting was not comfortable for him. He never mentioned it or complained about it. When he re-entered the civilian workforce, he got a job as a salesman for the Prudential Life Insurance companies, since he never wanted another family to live through what his family endured after losing the breadwinner. He was an excellent salesman. He really believed in the product. But the United States Gypsum office was across the hall, and after lunching with the guys from that office every day for months on end, he became a salesman for USG. Eventually, he would become the CEO. Oh, and by the way, they built him a desk at which to stand and work to accommodate the shrapnel lodged in his body. Along the way, he raised 3 children, supported his mother until her death, set up his siblings and my mother's retirement. In the 1960s, while living in Naperville, he started a series of Republican workshops held at night after work to educate his fellow citizens about the pitfalls of too much government spending, how taxes remove capital from productivity, who really pays corporate taxes, the customer, and wealth transference. He was gratified that a few state legislators emerged from his workshops. I'm sorry he's not around to do those workshops today. He served on numerous boards and committees for the city of Chicago. He was on the boards of several major corporations. In the 1970s, he noticed that Harvard had begun their endowment fund, which is now in the billions. He went back to his beloved Penn State and convinced the university to initiate a similar funding drive, chairing it himself the first year, in which he raised $77 million for Penn State's endowment. He was appointed to and served on the DuPage County Board, donating his salary and death benefit. During this time, he informed me with disgust that 99% of all corruption was local. It still is. He raised $50 million for the coronary wing of Rush Hospital. He was, for 2 terms, the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, first under Volcker and then Greenspan, and until his death, regularly consulted with Greenspan after he completed his second term. During the 1980s, as chairman of USG, there were 3 attempts by corporate raiders to take over USG. It was a tempting target.
due to the privations of my father's youth, he had a well-funded pension plan, which he always referred to as the Widows and Orphans Plan. It had hundreds of millions of dollars in it. And then there was the asbestos litigation fund, hundreds of millions in cash set aside for that eventuality. These bastions of stability, set up and funded by his careful planning and hard work, would be the first casualties of a successful takeover. My father spearheaded the defense of USG in each instance successfully. The third attempt, the corporate raiders offered him $50 million to walk away. It was probably a mistake for him to have shared this information with his bride, my mother, who intermittently wailed, "We could have been wealthy." When I asked him once if this was all true, he smiled and said it was not possible for him to take the money because he had a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, as well as, of course, those widows and orphans. Turned down $50 million to walk. Huh. At home, he used to say that he just always tried to make himself as indispensable as possible in any job he ever had. There was no job that was beneath him. He lovingly babysat his 9 grandchildren, mowed his own lawn, mowed his own lawn, and had my mother cut his hair to save money. By hard lessons learned when you grow up without shoes. When interviewed about business success, he quoted the 3 C's of success: competence, be the best at whatever you're given, care about it. Charisma, help others to be their best, share in the glory, be a mentor, inspire others. And character, once you have the power, use it ethically. Competence, charisma, character. It sort of reminds me of, just as a quick aside, it reminds me of the Ed Waymer aphorism. You know, Ed Waymer, the founder of Wintrust. Accept the blame, share the fame, avoid the shame, enjoy the game. Pretty good rules of the road. Simplifies it. Anyway, back to Margot's dad. Timeless advice, thoughtful wisdom. The grandchildren were very young when he passed away from prostate cancer. I wish they could have known and appreciated him more. Absolutely everyone who interfaced with him was blessed by the experience. Here ends the story of Robert J. Day and his mother, Marie Guth Day. Wow. I mean, that is quite a life. Couldn't go to school in Canada, being raised by a single mom after the breadwinner's killed, milking cows, to CEO of USG, turning and all the things that he did. I mean, both professionally and philanthropically. By the way, he left a handsome portion of his estate to Penn State. Margot also notes that when he passed away, the city of Chicago sent her mother a leather-bound proclamation listing his contributions of time and talent to the city. Boy, that's a nice contrast to what we were just discussing with the mayoral candidates for the city of Chicago, wouldn't you say? Don't you find? Great Americans, Robert J. Day, Marie Guth Day, from the Great Depression and single mom raising 3 kids to that life. Fast forward to Margot and her brothers and sisters. Incredible. This is why we tell the stories about the people actually making America great. They're rarely the people who are household names, don't you find?
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.
Mr. President, we're seeing reporting that air conditioning systems are failing as temperatures rise. What is your response?
I said, don't wait. People wait until the last second, then suddenly it's hot and nothing works. I understand this stuff probably better than anybody.
Mr. President, why hasn't the White House issued any guidance?
I gave perfect guidance. Call Air Right Heating and Cooling. That's the guidance. If people followed it, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Sir, but homeowners have so many HVAC options.
They're not like Air Right. You got some bad installers out there, some real bad hombres. I wouldn't let them near the White House. It would be a complete disaster.
Mr. President, there are reports of significant rebates on new systems. Can you confirm?
I've heard about them. A lot of people talking about them. If you miss out, you'd have to be really not so smart. Tremendous savings, let me tell you.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
When your joints hurt every day and you've been told you need surgery, do your homework. Once your joint is replaced, there's no going back. Dan Proft here. Before you schedule surgery, get a second opinion from my friends at QC Kinetics. I personally recommend them. Whether you're dealing with pain from bone-on-bone arthritis, torn meniscus, or years of wear and tear, surgery isn't your only conversation. Talk to Dr. Caravelli and her team at QC Kinetics. They use regenerative treatments to deliver relief to patients like you. You start with medical evaluation, reviewing your history, any imaging, and the actual source of the pain. If you're a good candidate, they'll concentrate tiny healing tools within your body right in the spot that's causing pain. The whole idea is to give you a real shot at holding off on surgery, or in some cases, avoiding it altogether. So don't accept surgery as your only option. Call QC Kinetics today for a second opinion. The conversation and consultation are free. Weekend appointments are available. The number 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261. That number again, 312-827-6261.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
This is Captain Baker from the Sheriff's Office.
Hello, officer.
We have a report of missing employees at Hassleus Mattress.
That's right.
You're confessing?
Yes, I'm confessing that Hassleus Mattress showrooms are employee-free.
Come again?
Shop for Beautyrest and Sealy Posturepedic without commission-crazy salespeople breathing down your neck.
Sounds suspicious.
That's how we keep our prices way low.
How low?
Others sell a Beauty Sleep by Beautyrest Queen Elm Cove A mattress for $1,599, but Hassleus has it for just $794. Plus, similar savings on Sealy Posturepedic and more.
That's criminally low.
And through Monday, trade in your old mattress and take $248 off a queen and $348 off a king.
You wouldn't lie to a cop, would you?
Free next day delivery, too.
Dispatch, I need a police escort for a Hassleus Mattress delivery truck to my house.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at hassleus.com.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic, could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did, they gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
Picture this, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs, and the IRS is on the hill throwing nothing but heat and chin music. Back taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens. You're down in the count. Time to call in a pinch hitter. At PJN Tax Solutions Group, we are your pinch hitter. We deal with the revenue officers so you don't have to. PJN Tax Solutions Group is a local tax resolution firm located right here in St. Charles, Illinois. Don't call some 1-800-FIRM 10 states away. We're right here. When the IRS tries to steal home with your paycheck, we throw them out. When they load the bases with bank levies and wage garnishments, we strike them out.
Strike three, you're out.
It's a full count and the game is on the line. Are you stepping up alone or are you bringing in a professional? Call PJN Tax Solutions Group now, 630-415-5296. Again, 630-415-5296, or just Google, I want the IRS off my ASS.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560. The Answer.
Text from 847, postscript on Robert Day, just talking about unsung Americans, great stories. The only thing that's tough about that segment is it makes me feel bad about myself in terms of what I'm doing, what I've done relative to these unsung Americans. I went to Elmhurst College with Robert Day's son, Doug. What a sweet and kind man he was. Yeah, right. I wonder where he learned that from the old man. Excellent. Stephen Bucci at 7:07. It's now 7 o'clock at AM 560 WIND Chicago.
There are talks instead of attacks. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump tells reporters on Air Force One he called off a massive bombing of Iran over the weekend after Gulf allies called him asking for a pause.
And the reason they asked is I think there's a deal. There's a deal on Hormuz, and then there will be a deal on the nuclear, or you might call it the denuclearization of Iran.
The president insists shipping flow freely in the Strait of Hormuz, where Iran's been attacking ships.
So Iran's foreign ministry this morning saying that the country is not currently holding talks with the U.S., but is in discussions with Oman over the strait. Iran's president stating that the U.S. must be compelled to honor the memorandum of understanding that was signed.
That's Fox's Alexandria Hoff at the White House. Oil prices are falling this morning, down more than 6%. 2 people remain in critical condition in Idaho. They were among the 7 injured when a gunman opened fire at an In-N-Out burger in Twin Falls Saturday. 2 others were shot dead. It could have been worse. Twin Falls Police Chief Matthew Hicks praises an off-duty officer and an armed bystander shooting at the gunman.
We believe their actions helped drive the suspect away from the scene, preventing further casualties.
Now, the shooter's also dead. He turned the gun on himself. His motive for the attack's not known. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche may have an easier path in the Senate ahead of a committee vote tomorrow on his nomination. Last night, Blanche formally rescinded a fund that was part of the Trump IRS tax settlement.
The $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund for people who claimed they were victims of political prosecutions faced intense backlash from lawmakers, including key Senate Republicans. Among the holdouts, John Cornyn of Texas and Tom Tillis of North Carolina, who'd refused to vote for Blanche as the full-time attorney general over aspects of the fund, like potential payouts to January 6th rioters.
Fox's Lillian Wu at the movies, one of the biggest opening weekends ever.
What is happening to me?
Did you miss me, Spidey?
Spider-Man, a brand new day, $355 million debut, just behind Avengers Endgame in 2019. America's 7:02, sunshine and 62 degrees. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, our top story, 2 Chicago police officers, 1 child and another person injured in a Southside crash Sunday evening. Chicago Fire says it happened near East 63rd and South Indiana in the city's Washington Park neighborhood. Illinois Secretary of State Alexei Giannoulias joined the crowded Chicago mayor's race over the weekend.
I am thrilled, honored, and deeply humbled to announce that I am running to be the next mayor of the city of Chicago.
He joins a list of other candidates running that includes Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza, Matt Brewer, Dr. Lisa Nee, and John Kelly. If you went back to school shopping over the weekend, you paid a lot more in sales tax.
But the taxes keep going up, and Illinois is like the highest taxes in the country.
Beginning Saturday, sales tax across the city and in the 5 collar counties went up. It's all part of a CTA bailout funded by the rest of the state for the CTA and for Mayor Brandon Johnson, pushed by Springfield Progressive Democrats led by Governor J.B. Pritzker. Illinois State Rep Steve Reich in McHenry County opposed the bill, saying People in his county are now being asked to shell out money for a system they will never use. Chicago sports. White Sox blew out the Rays 9-1 in St. Petersburg. Anthony Kay credited with the win. Cubs dropped their 3-game set to the Yankees following a 2-1 loss. Cubs host the Dodgers tonight. White Sox visit Boston tomorrow. The news, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather comes your way next on AM 560.
Hugh Hewitt doesn't feel sympathy.
You could sit for InStyle magazine and get $1 million in cash awards, but now the cat's got your tongue. I bet he does.
It gets worse. It's pretty embarrassing. Don't feel sympathy for Dr. Fauci because he took a lot of authority to himself, and now he's paying the price for falsifications, deceptions, outright lies.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you haven't switched to Pure Talk because you're not sure their coverage is every bit as reliable as Big Wireless, why not take them for a test drive? For a limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited data plan. No contracts, no commitments, just a great deal on a high-speed network with unlimited data from an American wireless company. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Born on America's darkest day, September 11th, 01, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, they have helped American heroes ever since. Heroes like United States Navy Chief Shannon Kent. Kent was killed in a suicide bombing, leaving behind her husband, Joseph, their 2 kids. Tunnel to Towers honored her sacrifice and paid off the family mortgage, giving them security forever. Donate $11 a month. Maybe you have a car to donate, land to donate. Please go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November. Be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel. The news you want, the perspective you trust.
7:06. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It's going to be an ongoing issue for a while. The Kennedy inbound off-ramp to Lawrence completely shut down due to a major collapsed retaining wall that happened over the weekend. Stop and go on the Kennedy on the outbound side. I-90 out to the big airport this morning. Stevenson inbound jams up Harlem into Kedzie. Accident on the Tri-State. Southbound at I-190 as you head to the airport. Your stop and go from Toohey this morning. And they've just cleared an accident southbound Route 53 at Palatine Road. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be delightful with plenty of sunshine and a high of 80. Tonight, expect a crystal clear sky with a low of 63. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 85. Wednesday will be humid with shifting clouds and sun, possibly leading to a thunderstorm in spots late in the afternoon with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So the big strike that was planned for Iran called off. Some reporting that Saudi Crown Prince MBS spoke with Trump and urged him to de-escalate and refrain from launching strikes in Iran. Axios reporting that. The Saudis expressed concern and asked for clarity about the plan of action. Taking our marching orders from the Saudis, or at least requiring their clearance before we strike. Not sure about that. Marco Rubio sat down over the weekend with Laura Trump on Fox News to talk foreign policy, and had this to say about the state of play with Iran.
The Iranian regime has ever faced a president like President Trump, which is someone that actually takes action. You know, they got used to for 20 or 30 years, not just the U.S., but the broader world, allowing them to get away with things like lying, breaking deals, tricking people into agreements and so forth. In this particular case, it's pretty straightforward. Iran wants a nuclear weapon, and they were building a conventional missile shield they were going to hide behind. In essence, they wanted to be in a position a year and a half from now to be able to say, we have so many drones and so many missiles, you can't possibly defend against them. That's the place they wanted to get to. President Trump said, I'm not going to let you get to that place. And he went after, wiped out their Navy, wiped out their Air Force, wiped out their missile defenses, wiped out their launchers, wiped out their factories that make all of these things, and severely degraded their defense capabilities. Now, they still have missiles and they still have drones and they can still do damage, but they no longer have that shield, that conventional shield that they could hide behind. And that's changed the whole dynamic. It's the only reason why they are now willing, and in some cases seem eager, to do a deal on denuclearization, to do a deal on the Straits, because we're now approaching them from a position of strength, not from a position of weakness, which is what they perceived from previous administrations and, frankly, from the world writ large.
The regime change has never been the goal, though. As you say, it has been denuclearization. Can you have one without the other, though?
I think the regime has to change. You may not have a regime change, but the regime has to change. The Iranian regime traditionally has been expeditionary. In essence, their view is they don't want to just govern Iran, they want to govern the region.
Yeah, well, and so that hasn't changed, is what I'm understanding, reading between the lines in terms of your assessment. And I think that assessment is accurate, which is why the whole doing the deal thing still seems a bit disingenuous to me. By the way, I mean, just point of order, don't forget the phrase unconditional surrender was used at the outset of hostilities. So that's one way the regime can change, is just unconditionally surrender, but that's not where we're at. Rather than that, I mean, it's fine to explain where we were and how far we've come, but of course everybody wants to know where we're going and when we're getting there. And to the extent the when question is difficult to answer, that's understandable. But in terms of a public recognition that there is no real deal to be made with this regime because they are eschatological in nature. And so what's actually going to happen is, and I don't think there's really much disclosure in telegraphing this, is we'll negotiate in good faith knowing they won't. And meanwhile, they're going to bleed out under pressure from our blockade, from the financial sanctions and the throttling of their access to funds, their own funds and other funds. That's what's actually going to happen. And to the extent that they try to use their sort of capacity as pirates to strike us or our allies, then we will respond, in kind and then some, disproportionately. I don't understand why that is a difficult public position to take. It's just a matter of time, and we're going to keep the pressure on, and we are in control of this situation, despite what the D.C. press corps would have you believe. I mean, CENTCOM is doing that online. debunking the claims that are being made by the IRGC. For example, the IRGC claims free and open routes through the Strait of Hormuz are dangerous for commercial vessels. And the CENTCOM replies, the immediate dangers posed to commercial vessels and their civilian crews are the IRGC's verbal threats and attempted attacks, and so on and so forth. So, why not strip away the veneer and let's talk plainly? Because you're not telling the Iranians or the world anything that it hasn't already figured out. So why don't we just be candid about the situation? More on this and other geopolitical matters. Stephen Bucci joins us for our weekly chat. He served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Yeah, so can we just be frank with one another, or with the global community, such as it is already?
I wish we could. I don't understand this. Now I'm getting ready to label the desire for the deal to be, somewhat irrational. We're way past that. This is one Ray Charles can see the truth that we're not going to get a deal with these guys. I mean, they'll sit and negotiate all the way through the midterms, I'm guessing, hoping to discredit President Trump, discredit his efforts to make this look like it was a complete failure, or what they really want is for us just to give up and let them have control of the straits. And, I hope to God we're not going to do that. As you say, I agree with Secretary Rubio that they have been degraded. They are down to a minimal capacity. But if you let the minimal capacity allow them to negotiate as if they were equals with our side, then that degradation operation we've done doesn't mean anything.
And sorry to interrupt, but the whole thing too with placating our Gulf state allies of convenience, or I would call them of convenience, most of them. Why can't you say to MBS, look, okay, so all right, so I won't I'll defer this strike for now, but let me tell you something. We're going to lay it straight. We're going to tell the world what time it is, that we are in control. What I'm doing is saving lives both in and around Tehran, as well as American soldiers' lives by slow walking this, by playing the long game, because we're in a position where we can play the long game and they can't. And the combination of epic fury and financial fury, whatever it was called, with Scott Bessent, we are going to squeeze them into that unconditional surrender I talked about at the outset of this campaign. And it's going to take longer than we anticipated, perhaps. It's hard to predict these things. But make no mistake about who is driving the train here. Why is that such a difficult message to send to the Western world?
I'm not sure. I'm with you. I would say it straight out. At this point, I would have said, hey, you notice that the Iranians are targeting and talking about targeting energy infrastructure in the countries around it. That's because they are trying to tell us, please do not hit our energy infrastructure. They are worried about that. They know when we start doing that, the final degree of turning them into toast will be done. I would say that the MBL, I'm sorry. I understand your concern. We'll do our best to try and protect you, but we're taking out their energy infrastructure. Make sure your defenses are centered around yours. And if you want to start shooting at their energy infrastructure, go for it. Rather than back off at this point, I don't see any benefit to be accrued there. I don't think Saudi Arabia is telling us what to do or driving our
no.
They came to us hat in hand, said, hey, please don't do this because it's going to cost us some money. But I think the president should have said, look, I get it. We'll try our best to protect you, but we got to go forward with this. Otherwise, we've wasted all this time and effort.
Yeah, and you should say to MBS, look, I mean, you decided to waste so much money on the Live Tour. You know, if you didn't waste money on the Live Tour, then you would have had more money to, deal with the Iranians. So just in terms of somebody sort of adopting the posture of Lindsey Graham, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana, on the reports out that Iran was targeting our infrastructure, Iran had plans to target our infrastructure in addition to, targeting actual senior members of the administration. This was John Kennedy on Meet the Press this weekend.
That Iran might be behind all of this. What should the U.S. response be if Iran is in fact attacking America's drinking water supply?
Well, we've got cyber experts. Hit them back. Iran's done this before. I'm not saying it's not Iran, but it could be North Korea. We do it to each other all the time, and I'm sorry it happened. I'm glad we caught it. But if Iran's going to start this foolishness, I would hit them back. Just like we've done with the military strikes, I'd eat them up and spit the bones on the floor.
All right, let me ask you about what's happening on Capitol Hill.
Disproportional responses to whatever Iran can muster militarily is the point.
Yeah, 100%. And cyber-wise, look, the Iranians have some cyber capability. They're not giants in the world of cyber attacks or anything else. By the way, the attacks are way easier to do than the defenses. But we could literally, as the Senator so eloquently put, chew them up and spit out the bones in a heartbeat in a head-to-head cyber confrontation. We could shut them off 100%. Now, would that be some hardship to the Iranian people who are not part of the government? Yeah, it would be. But you know what? If we start a cyber attack against them, and then start a public affairs assault against them, letting the Iranian people know, hey, look, we're doing this, but we got to do it to stop the tyrants that are above you. We'll help you when this is all done. Give us some flexibility. You know what? The Iranian people would be in the streets waving American flags again. They get it. We don't seem to get it.
Rubio also, in that sit-down with Lara Trump, talked a little bit about Cuba, and I thought he gave an interesting perspective on Cuba. It's this small island 90 miles south of Miami, but in terms of its role as a purveyor and producer of espionage on behalf of America's enemies, it's a superpower. Take a listen.
Interests. How did we get to a place where Cuba has become so much of a threat, it feels like, again, to the United States?
I think for those who have followed the issue of Cuba, this is not unfamiliar to us, but to the average American, you see Cuba, small country, 90 miles off our shores, 9.5 million people population. What people forget that when it comes to things like espionage and influence operations, they actually are an influence and espionage superpower. If you look at the history of espionage in the United States, Cuba is the only country that consistently has implanted and embedded spies in our system without even paying them. We had an ambassador, a U.S. ambassador, who ended up being a Cuban spy and was recently convicted. We've had them penetrate the highest levels of the Defense Intelligence Agency. Ana Belén Montes was one of the single biggest intelligence failures on the part of the United States and one of the biggest penetrations we've ever had in our system. And then on the influence front, if you look all throughout Latin America, every communist left-wing insurgency that's destabilized governments across the region, every single one of them over the last 40, 50 years has found its support, its help, in many cases its birth, from a Cuban influence operation. So it was an important report just to highlight the role they play in our country, a very negative role.
The report also links Cuban influence to the rise of Antifa, the riots that we saw in 2020, as well as the surge of radical activism.
So, per the 90-page report on Cuba that they were both referencing and Rubio providing more color on that, what should be done, and can it be done concurrent with the ongoing issues in the Middle East?
Yeah, it can be done. I don't think we need to attack Cuba kinetically, but we need to shut Cuba down more so than we have already. Obviously, our the blockades and the sanctions we've had on them for a long time are not enough because they're not stopping their nefarious activities. But we need to be straightforward about it and open so that it affects the Cuban people as well. Let them know you are suffering not because the gringos are so mean to you. It's because your government keeps attacking America. That's why we're doing it.
Well,
now,
I mean,
will that convince everybody? No, but it'll resonate with a lot of the people that are already at least nascent dissidents within the Cuban system.
But I mean, where is that at? I mean, the lights have been turned off in Cuba intermittently for extended periods of time over the last several weeks. I mean, the situation seems fairly dire, and there were some suggestions that Diaz-Canel might not be long for this world, again, intermittently over the last several weeks. And yet it just sort of, the regime just sort of limps on. So, do we just, again, take a more patient posture and stay the course and hope the regime collapses in on itself like we could possibly do in Iran, or do something more aggressive than that, short of kinetic action, as you said?
I'm not sure doing anything more aggressive, trending towards the kinetic is necessary. I think we can up the pressure on them and be a little patient, but we need to do a better job at calling them out. We still have leftists all over this country who applaud the Cubans as a success story, and that everything would be fine there if we would just leave them alone. But they're starving now because Russia can't afford to support them anymore. We can sell anything in the world to anybody when they totally don't need it, but somehow our government can't use those same skills to influence people around the world by telling them the truth. I don't get that. Maybe because advertising is not about the truth, it's about lying. But I think if we went with the truth, we could get some stuff done here.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. We'll talk to you next wealth.
And Stephen joined us in the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Some places just become part of the community. Shannon's Deli is one of those places. For over 25 years, this woman-owned downtown Lombard favorite has been serving fresh, made-to-order sandwiches, homemade soups, signature salads, and some of the friendliest service you'll find anywhere. It's the kind of place where customers become regulars, and regulars become friends. Whether you're grabbing lunch, meeting coworkers, or picking up catering for the office, you'll taste the difference that comes from quality ingredients and genuine hospitality. Shannon's Deli is just 35 feet from the Metro train station. Then, when the sun goes down, head over to Shannon's Irish Pub in Glen Ellen for great food, your favorite drink, live entertainment, and the warm Irish hospitality you've come to expect from the Shannon's family. Shannon's Irish Pub is just 2 blocks from the Metro station. Visit shannonsdeli.net and shannonsirishpub.info.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago Immune Support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
Now that summer is here, it's time for some summer home maintenance.
That's cold!
Hot water issues? Call CenterGuard Plumbing. Right now, get a new 40-gallon atmospheric vent water heater installed for just $1,295 standard installation, or a 50-gallon for $1,395 standard installation, with free haul away of your old tank. A proud sponsor of AM 560, you'll save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on tankless and atmospheric vent water heaters with CenterGuard Plumbing. Plus, get 10% off any licensed plumbing contractor competitor's price. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon, and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive summer special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 7:37, we're going to talk to Heather McDonald. We haven't talked to Heather in a while. Always illuminating about the danger of teen takeovers and public safety more generally. She'll have a lot to say on the topic. Ask her about those violence prevention signs that Eileen Burke is posting on CTA trains and buses. We'll start there with Heather McDonald. 7:37. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. 7:30, 64 degrees in Chicago in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Jury selection will begin today for a woman accused of killing one Bradley police sergeant and critically wounding another. Zandria Harris is charged in the murder of Bradley police sergeant Marlene Ripmanick at a Bradley hotel in 2021. Investigators say Harris's co-defendant and then boyfriend Darius Sullivan shot the officers as they confronted him at his hotel room door. Sullivan is already serving a life sentence for murder. A woman was killed in a hit-and-run crash in the south suburbs early this morning. Illinois State Police are investigating the crash that occurred around 12:05 a.m. in the southbound lanes of Route 394 near Joe Orr Road in Linwood. Two Chicago police officers, a child, and another person were badly hurt in a Southside crash late Sunday evening near East 63rd and South Indiana Avenue in the city's Washington Park neighborhood. Illinois Secretary of State Alexei Giannoulias is joining a crowded Chicago mayoral race.
A track record of getting things done. People want competence. People want to know that someone is there that will get things done, that will cut bureaucracy, that will reduce waste, that will make government easier.
Giannoulias announcing his candidacy yesterday, confirming months of rumors. He's served as Secretary of State since January of 2023. President Trump says talks with Iran resume today. Trump halting new airstrikes on Iran ahead of those planned talks. Meantime, oil prices are dropping just a bit. Spokane, Washington remains under a major threat from wildfires. Embers went across the Spokane River and started fires in residential areas.
About 60,000 individuals were evacuated in that amount of time. I think that's extraordinary.
Mayor Lisa Brown says hundreds of homes have been destroyed.
To the people who are suffering right now in our region from either loss or uncertainty, everyone here, our hearts go out to you. We are here for you for the long term.
And Idaho police say an armed bystander and an off-duty state trooper saved lives during a deadly shooting on Saturday. The bystander and trooper both opened fire on the suspect at an In-N-Out Burger in Twin Falls, helping drive him away from the scene. Twin Falls Police Chief Matthew Hicks.
At this time, we can confirm that the suspect, 24-year-old Chad Williams, is deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Williams used a rifle to kill 3 and wound 7 others. Chicago sports. White Sox blow out the Rays 9-1 to win the series in St. Pete, while the Cubs lost to the Yankees 2-1. The news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather comes your way next on AM 560.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by LeavingIL.com and by Unique Wooden Flags.
Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, offers Chicago businesses relationship-first banking. Signature knows your name and your story because personalized banking still matters. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature is where I do my business banking.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. Every growing business needs a strong team behind it. Over the years, Signature has been more than a financial partner. They've shared their knowledge, offered guidance, and connected us with trusted professionals who help strengthen our business. They're a valuable extension of our team and a true partner. That's why I value my relationship with Signature.
Signature helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, at 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Esquire Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Do you suffer from moderate to severe slumpiness?
Slumpiness? I've never heard that expression.
I know. I made it up.
What does that mean?
You know, when someone's hungry and angry?
Yeah, we say they're hangry.
Well, I've coined the term slumpy for someone who's grumpy from a bad night of sleep.
Clever.
But Penny Mustard has discovered the cure for severe slumpiness.
Let me guess. A nightly dose of a double-sided hybrid mattress.
It's just what the doctor ordered.
Penny Mustard's exclusive line of hybrid mattresses is made in Wisconsin and combines a steel coil spring center and specialty foam. Our mattresses have been proven to last 45% longer than the average unflippable model.
Ask your doctor about Penny Mustard. They probably bought their mattress here too, or at least I hope they did, because who wants a slumpy doctor?
Come see our selection of sophisticated, double-sided hybrid mattresses at Penny Mustard. Find a showroom near you at pennymustard.com.
Flippable versions of what slumpy people want.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at progressive.com.
6. The news is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Brighten your home. Make the rooms in your house look bigger and better with larger windows or patio doors this summer. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation today. Checking your roads this morning in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Solid traffic on the Edens on the outbound side between Peterson and Dempster due to an accident with 2 right-hand lanes blocked. Lakeshore Drive jammed up southbound Monroe down to Roosevelt. Tri-State clearing an accident southbound between Gulf and I-190, and delays in Mundelein this morning. Route 176 just east of US 45, Lake Street, report of an accident. Traffic is a service of Aleve. At some point, body pain may creep in and become your reality that day, but Aleve is here to keep you moving. 1 pill, 12 hours of body pain relief. So don't let that pain hold you back. Try Aleve today and use as directed. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But up next, a check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Sun at 83 today, clear and 65 overnight.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion. There's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Thinking more about the ridiculousness of Cook County State's Attorney Eileen O'Malley, O'Neill, Madigan, Cullerton, Daley, Burke, posting these signs. 7,000 signs are being posted on CTA buses and trains saying violence on buses and trains is unacceptable. Because it was just a knowledge problem. Nobody knew that committing acts of violence on CTA buses and trains was against the law, apparently. But I was thinking, like, well, why would somebody engage in such a silly performative exercise as this?
This is Chicago.
To have a safe, thriving city, we need to have a safe public transportation system. So today we are launching our initiative that we, as the State's Attorney's Office and the CTA, are taking crime on the CTA very seriously.
Everyone deserves a safe and enjoyable ride, and we're working together to make sure that happens.
We are putting up these signs as an indication of what the consequences will be of any criminal actions on the CTA. We are hoping to deter crime and to encourage people to come forward if they are witnesses of crime.
These signs are a message to all of our riders and employees that we are working together with the County State's Attorney's Office to take action and ensure and promote a safe ride on the CTA.
Why such a ridiculous performative action like that? And then it struck me, a column that our friend Shelby Steele, the great Shelby Steele, wrote a decade ago in advance of the 2016 election on the culture of deference. He wrote, since the 1960s, when America finally became fully accountable for its past, deference toward all groups with any claim to past or present victimization became mandatory. The Great Society and the War on Poverty were some of the first truly deferential policies. Since then, deference has become almost a universal marker of simple human decency that asserts one's innocence of the American past. Deference is, deference is above all else an apology. One thing this means is that deference toward victimization has evolved into a means to power. As deference acknowledges America's indebtedness, it seems to redeem the nation and to validate its exceptional status in the world. This brings real power, the kind of power that puts people into office. So deference is a power to muscle with. And it works by stigmatization, by threatening to label people as regressive bigots. You know, all of the isms and phobias you're accused of if you don't defer. And he goes on to say, as a society, we are so captive to our historical shame that we thoughtlessly rush to deference simply to relieve the pressure. And yet every deferential gesture, the war on poverty, affirmative action, Obamacare, every kind of diversity scheme only weakens those who still suffer the legacy of our shameful history. Deference is now the great enemy of those toward whom it gushes compassion. And so it is with law enforcement. But Eileen Burke knows or believes she can't speak with moral clarity about the kind of conduct she clearly opposes, as any decent person would, violence against people on public transit. But she has to do this deferential, performative, violence is unacceptable sign campaign because she can't speak with moral clarity about law enforcement. Because she is captive to the identitarian's culture of deference. That's my thesis, at least. Or explanation for the absurdity of what you just heard and what you're seeing if you ride the CTA. For more on this topic, related matters, somebody also who has been invaluable on these topics over many moons, Heather McDonald. She is the Thomas W. Smith Fellow at the Manhattan Institute and author of When Race Trumps Merit, How the Pursuit of Equity Sacrifices Excellence, Destroys Beauty, and Threatens Lives. Heather, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. I have to say, at least you guys have a whispered, hooded reference to the unacceptability of violence and maybe consequences, but of course really not. In your subway system in New York City, where people are being pushed into tracks, pushed into the cars, pushed down subway stairs on a weekly basis by these untreated mentally ill drug addicts, the only public announcement we get is a heartfelt plea to youth not to ride on top of subway cars because it's dangerous for them. Nothing about you don't mug the passengers. You don't graffiti on the station. So we're as tongue-tied and as paralyzed by the specter of, let's be honest, black youth violence as anybody else.
Do you agree with Steele's formulation, though, this culture of deference that he described?
Yes, absolutely. That's why we have completely unwound the juvenile justice system. It's behind the entire conceit that is so poisonous of disparate impact, which holds that if any constitutional colorblind law enforcement activity has a disparate impact on black criminals, it must be a racist practice, and therefore it must be dismantled. And it's behind the groveling offering of services to youth, more services, more free stuff, as a bribe to stop the teen takeover phenomenon. That's not what's needed. These people have all the opportunities, contrary to Brandon Johnson, if they stay in school, don't get involved in crime, graduate, wait until they are married to have children, they will not be poor, and they will have every college in the country knocking at their door to admit them if they have even just an average GPA. So we've come up with all these excuses. Oh, some of them are hilarious for the teen takeovers: hunger, capitalism, loneliness, the desperate need to connect, and of course the need for safe spaces in order not to look at the real problem, which is the breakdown of the family, the lack of socialization, and the lack of consequences. I mean, recently Johnson has been peddling yet again the standard line of, well, the problem is we don't have safe spaces for youth to gather, and therefore we need to create more programs and more youth violence interrupters and whatnot. Guess why they're not safe? The reason the safe spaces are not safe for teens is because the teens are making them unsafe. They gather by the thousands, and with a fairly large certainty, shootings will break out, brawls will break out, police officers will be attacked by the teens who are allegedly in need of safe spaces themselves. So it's a logical conundrum.
Well, that's what BLM Brandon calls kids being silly, what you're describing. And yes, you're right. It's just one more seminar program at the Art Institute, and all this clears up. It's just a safe space or two. We're a safe space or two away. The other thing he does that's interesting is, by the same token, he minimizes the barbaric behavior of those who engage in barbarism. Sorry for the tautology. He also suggests that it's not police that are reducing the incidence of violence in Chicago to the extent that that's actually happening, which is more than debatable. It's the community violence interrupters he's underwriting with everybody's money. Take a listen.
Where CVI exists, we have seen reductions as high as 45 to 50% in gun violence. And I commend these brothers and sisters who have returned out of a system that was never designed to rehabilitate them. But yet somehow they found enough hope to bring inspiration into the communities that they were traumatized by. Their effectiveness.
And isn't that an interesting way to characterize these alleged community violence interrupters that are ex-cons? That's what he's talking about, is that regardless of what they did, they are by definition a victim, traumatized by the system, traumatized by the way their community was policed, essentially, because they actually had to pay the consequences for whatever they did, or some approximation of the consequences. And yet they still overcome that trauma to do good work to reduce the incidence of violence on the streets.
Well, the Chicago police that I've talked to are pretty demoralized every time they hear that explanation. because it minimizes their own contribution, and they're really the effective ones that are able to go into these situations, and if they're remotely allowed, to make arrests. But Johnson, who in 2025 called law enforcement racist, immoral, and unholy, is not about to give credit to the police. And of course, we all know with absolute predictable regularity, you're going to have the discovery that a bunch of these violence interrupters are still involved in gang activity. You know, they've been arranging drug deals and getting guns to their former colleagues, all the while being paid by the city. So the data is still very much out on whether these programs make a difference, but it's just another way of avoiding the issue, which is unless you have consequences for illegal, violent, destructive behavior, that behavior will continue. You are enabling it. You are encouraging it. And you can see the rate of juvenile justice outcomes of prosecutions has dropped radically from 2005 to 21. 67% drop in juvenile justice judgments against black male teens because they were simply not entering the system at all. Juvenile justice leaders were saying, nah, let's just let this guy back on the street. That's true with school discipline. You know, that dropped enormously under Presidents Obama and Biden because of the same ridiculous and dangerous disparate impact conceit, which is that if schools were disciplining black students at a higher rate than whites, that's racist discipline and it must be stopped. Well, the reason that there is a higher rate of discipline for black pupils is because they're much more violent. Black teens, males between the ages of 14 and 17, commit gun homicide at 10 times the rate of white teens of 14 to 17. And yet we somehow believe, if we are even going to acknowledge that fact, which is, of course, we're not. I mean, that's absolutely taboo. But it predicts that those teens that are committing that high rate of gun violence and homicide are not exactly going to be soft, docile angels obeying their teacher in the classroom. The same lack of socialization that produces that gun violence homicide rate is also going to affect their behavior. The schools are not racist. The reason black kids are being disciplined more is because they are committing more offenses in school. Simple story. And yet we're not allowed to do that any longer, and it's back to the deference that Shelby Steele talks about. It's back to white guilt and white terror of being called racist by the activist groups.
And now there's the potential that this gets scaled, this culture of deference, despite what has transpired, since the summer of love forward, the George Floyd riots and the burning of America's cities. What is ascendant on the left? It's DSA candidates like Francesca Hong in Wisconsin, of all places, who is likely to be that party's gubernatorial nominee against incumbent Republican Congressman Tom Tiffany, and that'll be a competitive race. And this was what, Bill Maher, a man on the left, had to say in a rant over the weekend on his show about candidates like Hong, and specifically Hong.
Francesca Hong, yet another major Democratic candidate who's all in on abolishing the police and is running for governor of Wisconsin, says, I think that my perfect world would be a world without prisons because we all see the humanity in one another and then we know nobody's disposable. Well, murder victims are. I mean, if you heard this kind of nonsense coming out of the mouth of a teenage beauty queen, it would be an eye roll.
That's a fun line, but it belies the reality of viability for candidates like Hong in Middle America.
Well, it's almost tried to say it because conservatives have been saying this for so long. When you stop punishing criminals and send the signal that this behavior will be tolerated, normalized, excused, the people who are initially hurt most are the law-abiding black members of high crime communities who are begging for more police. people like Hong, I'm sure, has never been the victim of a armed carjacking or drive-by shooting. She's insulated, and so there's just this mythology around the victimhood of blacks and a complete ignorance of what it means to live in a high-crime neighborhood and how that is a complete suppression of normal life. Elderly people scared to go on the streets to pick up their Social Security checks or go to the grocery store or get their prescriptions. The people not in those communities fantasize about it. They romanticize the state of poverty and the nobility of the people that are living under the alleged boot of police oppression. That's all a myth. Crime is a complete destruction of the possibility of civil order, and it is the primary responsibility of government. Nothing else is as important as maintaining public order, and every politician who goes another day not getting crime under control, not getting property theft, looting under control, is absolutely violating his public oath, because it is an absolute certainty, statistical certainty, given the crime rates, that sometime that week dozens of shopkeepers are going to be robbed, people are going to be mugged. That has to be the main concern. The LGBTQ stuff can wait. The completely feckless, useless, homeless outreach can wait, because it only enables that behavior to begin with. They should all, every single day, say, how do we keep people safe?
Heather Mac Donald is the Thomas W. Smith Fellow at the Manhattan Institute and author of When Race Trumps Merit, How the Pursuit of Equity Sacrifices Excellence, Destroys Beauty, and Threatens Lives. When Race Trumps Merit is the book. Heather Mac Donald, the author. Heather, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan. Great to be with you.
You too. And she joined us on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Join Illinois Family Action for the Save America Rally, 7 p.m. Tuesday, August 4th at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Former U.S. Comptroller General David M. Walker, along with businessman and author Joe Penland Sr., will offer big, bold, and practical solutions for fixing Social Security and protecting other vital programs from the reach of those who preach for communism in America. And during the Save America Rally, hopeful messages for the land of Lincoln from key Illinois candidates Darren Bailey for governor, Don Tracy for U.S. Senate, and James Martyr for Congress. Go to IllinoisFamilyAction.org for more information. IFA's David Smith.
Join us as we stand together to save America.
The Save America Rally is free. Be there Tuesday, August 4th at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Find out more at IllinoisFamilyAction.org. Paid for by Illinois Family Action.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel, the news you want, the perspective you trust.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved solved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Have you ever wondered, with all the different religions and interpretations of the Bible, how you can be sure that you're on the right path in your spiritual journey? The powerful new book, You and God by Peter Philippi, helps you answer this question and discover how to establish a truly personal relationship with God through biblical understanding and faith. Get your copy of You and God by Peter Philippi today by visiting pbmusa.org. That's pbmusa.org.
If you've saved $100,000 or more for retirement, call Steve Shyman today at 833-945-7283. That's 833-WILL-SAVE, 833-WILSAVE. Schedule your no-cost, no-obligation retirement review and make sure your plan is built to protect what you've worked so hard to earn. And don't forget to listen to Steve's show, Protecting Your Assets, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on AM 560. Call now, 833-945-7283.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 8:08, where does the COVID reckoning go after last week's testimony, such as it was, from one sad little man named Tony Fauci? We'll talk to Justin Hart, author of Gone Viral, How COVID Drove the World Insane, about that at 8:08. And then Rafael Mangual on ICE and violence against ICE at the bottom of the hour. It's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Is the Iran conflict coming to an end? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump says a deal is near, telling reporters on Air Force One he called off a big bombing over the weekend.
The biggest attack since World War II, and it would have been disastrous.
According to the president, talks are set to resume today, aimed at finalizing a deal related to the Strait of Hormuz. The president says he was asked by Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia to hold off as diplomatic efforts play out.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv.
Reports do indicate that a new deal could see the strait open for 60 days without fees. With the possibility of another agreement in sight, the region remains on alert since the Iranians are denying any direct progress.
Oil prices are plunging, down more than 6%, but Chevron CEO Mike Worth just told Fox Business there are still concerns that could make oil pricier again.
We've seen supply constrained, we've seen damage to infrastructure, and we have new risks that I think will be priced into the market on shipping, for instance. So shipping rates, shipping insurance, and the willingness of ship owners to go to certain ports in the world.
3 wildfires keep burning uncontained in the Spokane, Washington area, where about 60,000 people have evacuated. The flames have destroyed more than 600 homes and other structures. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson says a lot of people lost everything, just turned to ashes.
Just in a matter of hours, their lives changed in deeply dramatic and fundamental ways. And so it's difficult to find words when folks have experienced a loss like that.
Now an update from Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer on a Trump nominee.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is one step closer to being confirmed in the Senate after officially rescinding a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund that a few GOP holdouts were concerned over.
Senators John Cornyn and Tom Tillis had threatened to vote against Blanche in committee tomorrow, blocking the confirmation if that fund was not formally dissolved. It was set up in the Trump IRS tax settlement for people claimed to be political targets of the Biden Justice Department. America's listening.
8:02 in Chicago, 65 degrees and sunshine for now. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, jury selection begins this morning for a woman accused of killing one Bradley police sergeant and critically wounding another. Zandria Harris is charged in the murder of Bradley Police Sergeant Marlene Ridmanick at a Bradley hotel in 2021. A woman killed in a hit-and-run crash in the south suburbs early this morning. Illinois State Police are investigating after the crash occurred around 12:05 in the southbound lanes of Route 394 near Joe Orr Road in Linwood. 2 Chicago police officers, a child and another person hurt in a Southside crash late Sunday evening. It happened near East 63rd and South Indiana in the city's Washington Park neighborhood. Illinois Secretary of State Alexei Giannoulias is joining a very crowded race for mayor of Chicago.
I am thrilled, honored, and deeply humbled to announce that I am running to be the next mayor of the city of Chicago.
Giannoulias announcing his candidacy, confirming months of rumors. The Chicago native has served as Secretary of State since January of 2023. Chicago sports. White Sox blew out the Rays 9-1, winning their series in St. Pete. Anthony Kay credited with the win. Cubs dropped their 3-game set with the Yankees following a 2-1 loss. Cubs host the Dodgers later on tonight. The news service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today. 560theanswer.com/join. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are higher. Dow futures have been up more than 400 points in U.S. crude. West Texas Intermediate is under $80 a barrel with negotiations expected in the Iran conflict. Marriott is reporting a better than expected quarter, though it was impacted by the Middle East conflict. Business improved in Europe and Africa, and Marriott says it continues to see solid demand for leisure travel. Flight attendants at Canada's second largest airline, WestJet, are on strike after talks fell through. The U.S. is a major destination for WestJet, which has been canceling hundreds of flights. New York Fed President John Williams says he remains optimistic that inflation pressures are on track to ease gradually, though he says if they don't, the Fed will not hesitate to raise rates. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
Larry Elder doesn't see the math working out.
Something I've been saying for a long time about the rise of these Democrat socialists, even before that, about the dominance of Democrats in general. Now the Democrat Socialists of America have won primaries and elections based on, wait for it, affordability, a crisis that their policies have caused.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer. Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1796, George Washington made one of the most consequential decisions in American history. He chose not to seek a third term as president. So why does that matter? Because America was not built on permanent rulers. It was built on ordered liberty. Faith teaches that authority is a stewardship, not a possession. Leaders are accountable to God for how they use power. And why does that still matter today? Because republics survive when leaders respect limits and citizens defend them. Washington's lesson still stands. A republic is preserved when power has limits, and public service remains a duty to God and country, not a path to personal rule.
If stairs in your home are becoming difficult, there's a practical solution, and it doesn't have to come with pushy salespeople. Access provides dependable stair lifts designed to help you stay safely in the home you love. No gimmicks, no overselling, just honest guidance, quality equipment, and professional local installation. We'll explain your options, work within your budget, and let you decide what's right at your pace. For a straightforward, no-pressure, free in-home consultation, call 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer Line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
If you haven't switched to Pure Talk because you're not sure their coverage is every bit as reliable as Big Wireless, why not take them for a test drive? For a limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited data plan. No contracts, no commitments. Just a great deal on a high-speed network with unlimited data from an American wireless company. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Born on America's darkest day, September 11th, 01, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, they have been helping American heroes ever since. Heroes like U.S. Army Sergeant William Bernard McKenna, exposed to burn pits. McKenna later died from T-cell lymphoma, leaving his wife, Dina, and 2 daughters. Tunnel to Towers honored Sergeant McKenna. They paid off the family's mortgage in honor of all of his sacrifice. Donate $11 a month. If you have a car to donate, if you have land to donate, go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org today.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Accident Carroll Stream, Route 59 and Smith. Delays on Route 53 northbound between the Ike and Euclid this morning. Lakeshore Drive southbound jams up Grand Avenue down to Roosevelt. An accident with a left lane block on the Dan Ryan inbound between the Stevenson and 18th. Traffic is a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And up next, check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be delightful with plenty of sunshine and a high of 80. Tonight, expect a crystal clear sky with a low of 63. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 85. Wednesday will be humid with shifting clouds and sun, possibly leading to a thunderstorm in spots late in the afternoon. The high will reach 81 on Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from The Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Tony Fauci back in 2022. The heady days of COVID when he was a superhero, according to people like CNN's Dana Bash. Happy to testify before any congressional committee that would seek his testimony. Happy to do so. May be an annoyance, but he's happy to do so because he has nothing to hide.
Well, if I become a punching bag, I'm a punching bag, but I am very happy to testify before any congressional oversight committee. I have nothing to hide. I can explain and validate everything that I've done. So, you know, it's going to be inconvenient if they actually are out there essentially threatening to make my life miserable. But I'm going to do what I need to do, and that is cooperate fully. Because we have nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide. Cooperate fully. That's why he needed a pardon that covered 11 years of his career. That's why this was the offering at last week's hearing before Senate Homeland Security.
Given Senator Paul's obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me, the only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars, unquote.
And so he has to take the fifth. But, I mean, redacted, you're upset about the Hello Kitty diary entries being unredacted, but you have nothing to hide. I mean, whatever you memorialized in your personal journal, I mean, you'd be happy to have on the 6 o'clock news because you have nothing to hide. You're a transparency guy. Very proud of the work that you've done. And there's certainly no fear of prosecution for having done anything illegally because you have nothing to hide because you did a good job. For more on this, please be joined by Justin Hart, author of Gone Viral, How COVID Drove the World Insane. He also writes at his Substack entitled Rational Ground. Justin Hart, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, great to be with you this morning.
Yeah. So, where do you think, if anywhere, the effort at a reckoning for Fauci and others, including the D.C. press corps, which RFK Jr. tried to effect in his own way with Dana Bash over the weekend, where do you think that goes from here after last week's testimony?
Look, Dan, let's have a little sympathy for Dr. Fauci. In his own words, this is a quote from his diaries, "It is a shame that things are moving so quickly that I don't even have time to savor for a moment the many awards that I have been getting," right? Look, this is, my team and I were in the trenches helping Dr. Atlas at the White House counter Dr. Fauci during the summer of 2020. Unfortunately, President Trump lost that election, and Dr. Fauci would go on to just steamroll over all of our lives as making policies that were just completely non-factual and against the data. And of course, the press had his back. You mentioned Dana Bash, and she's in the journals as well. And she talks about how, she watched his conversation or his testimony before Representative Jordan, and he would say, "You should just tell him to go F yourself," right? These are the press who were doing his dirty work for him. And the data now show demonstrably that everything from the origin of the disease to masks to plexiglass to social distancing was stuff that he made up whole cloth in many ways, just for his purposes. And a lot of those purposes were CYA, covering his own butt for terrible decisions that he had made earlier in his career.
Yeah, I mean, part of, I guess, the reckoning, short of a legal one, is what RFK Jr. tried to do with Dana Bash, which is remind her of some of that stuff and the fact that she and Jake Tapper and everybody else at CNN were throwing their panties at Tony Fauci anytime he appeared on their airwaves. And that was the point, to flack for him, not to be critical, not to ask probing questions, not to be skeptical of the quote unquote experts or the authorities. I thought that was pretty effective. And it seems to me that's something that non-COVIDians can do no matter what the topic is every time they appear on one of these networks before one of those propagandists.
Yeah, look, I've always, encouraged my readers to say, you set your expectations. Dr. Fauci is not going to be frog marched out in front of the cameras. Maybe he will there in Florida. Our good friend Governor DeSantis, maybe we'll see to that. But I would say your expectations low. But here's the thing. In many ways, we've already won. Our good friend Dr. Bhattacharya, Jay Bhattacharya, is now head of the NIH. You have RFK and head of the HHS. They've already made some incredible provisions there. One of the big challenges that Dr. Fauci had is he was making the policy while he was also doling out the grant money, right? And now Jay has put a firewall at the NIH. So the people that make the policy are very different from the people that mete out the money, because we found now from the diaries that was a tool that Dr. Fauci used to get his way and to push policy in a specific direction by promising people money and then getting something for it. So these are all things that I think we actually should hold our head high in. The people that were ostracized, the people that Dr. Fauci and Director Collins called fringe, like the Stanford professor and now NIH Director Jay Bhattacharya, are now in charge of making policies. And I'm looking at the details, and I'm seeing a lot of movement that they're making, and they have 2 more years to really affect some change.
Well, the other thing, too, is with the diaries, you now have, Fauci on so many topics contradicting privately what he was saying publicly, including on things that were very controversial, like the projected death rate from COVID, which he said before House Oversight Committee in March of 2020 it would be 3%, and it turned out to be like less than 1/10 of that, which is, a pretty big margin of error. So those sorts of things, where Fauci again and again is saying something very different privately than he is pronouncing publicly. It's just good to have that record to point to, not just with, people who behave badly during COVID, but also prospectively the next time something akin to this comes along.
I agree, and I think that's one of the things that we really look to. If you go back 100 years to some of the headlines that we had during the 1918 Spanish flu, there were pictures of judges and elected officials with masks on the front page of those newspapers. It's like we never learn. And so hopefully we can take some sort of thing and keep it out of the memory hole so that, when this thing comes around again, if it does for our children and grandchildren, that they know what the right course of action is to take and what the wrong course of action is to take. It seems like this is just a human foible that we've had to live with for centuries now. And I'm hoping that, we can learn better.
Well, yeah, it's funny, going back to the Spanish flu, I had forgotten that. You see those pictures from that bygone era 100 years earlier, and as people wearing these like ridiculous bird masks and stuff like this, 100 years from now, it's going to be people that are still wearing surgical masks in 2026 that are going to be ridiculed the way that we ridicule the people that were wearing bird masks in 1919.
Yeah, it is a really difficult thing, and the kindest interpretation I have is that people are fearful in these days, and we need to sort of booster our courage here to make sure that when something like this rears its head, you always fall back to our constitutional rights, and you realize very quickly that those were trampled on, and those are trampled on in a significant way, and we need to hold those people accountable. Those people are welcome to walk around free, but they should never have a single ounce of public influence over public policy when it comes to health. Again,
do you think the response from the Trump administration to formally ban financing of gain-of-function research is the right response, or is that an overcorrection in the sense that there are perhaps certain circumstances where certain research into viruses is warranted, or is it just that's not something the government should be in the business of doing or sanctioning?
No, we're terrible at this, right? And the details that you see in the emails realize that people are bringing these sort of pathogens in and out of the country, North Carolina up to Washington State. They're bringing them into Wuhan, of course, and we cannot trust those signals anymore there, especially when it comes to the foreign entities that we don't have control over. We cannot fund those anymore. It is almost certain now that the virus came from a modified furin-Cleavage site of the gain of function that they did against this coronavirus in Wuhan, China, funded by Dr. Fauci with the help of other groups here in the United States. A terrible reckoning has never been had, and I hope that Dr. Rand Paul actually has some success in at least that effort of trying to find out how do we make sure this doesn't happen again.
Obviously, Fauci deserves a lot of focus because he was the public face and he so enjoyed all of the trappings of fame and power. But what about Deborah Birx, the scarfed one? I thought it was really interesting last week when she was on News Nation after his testimony and, completely distancing herself from Fauci, saying, look, the blue states overclosed. Now that I know what was in Fauci's private diaries, she didn't say this explicitly, but I'm essentially separating myself. It was just very interesting that she walked away from policies that she ostensibly was supportive of because she was promoting them and working with governors to institute them. But now she is washing her hands of the whole episode.
No, she should be held accountable, particularly. She went around on her rainbow tour and convinced governors like the Republican governor of Ohio that he should lock down. This is something we can't just whistle by. I remember talking to Dr. Atlas when he was at the White House, and I have a very kind interpretation saying, maybe they just see things a different way. And Dr. Atlas stopped me and said, Justin, you need to know these people are dumb. So Dr. Birx, she's welcome to walk free. We need answers, but she should never, ever have a hand in public policy again.
You know what's fun about last week, too, is revisiting some people who are actually experts in the field, people like the deceased Kary Mullis, who won a Nobel Prize for development of the PCR test, and Ebright from Rutgers, and looking back at some of the things they said, even pre-COVID, about people like Tony Fauci, and these actual practitioners in these spaces or seasoned academics who conducted actual peer-reviewed science really had no respect for this public health establishment.
Yeah, it is a real shame. I'll give you one more anecdote that Dr. Atlas says in his book that he told us as well when he stopped Dr. Fauci in the hall. And he said, don't you think we are just instilling this terrible amount of unprecedented fear among the populace? And he said, no, Scott, they're not fearful enough. Dr. Fauci wanted us quaking in our boots, and that is not how you function with good health policy. So, when you go back to even Milan, when they were dealing with an actual plague in the 1600s, they talked about in the journals how the fear of the disease racked upon the minds of the people far more than the disease ever had an effect on the body. And that's, I think, the unfortunate thing that we're now left with. Our kids, our college kids, my kids who were young, you think about just the adults that you see constantly walking around with these masks, as you mentioned. These are psychological impacts that we're going to have for a long time, and we're still unwinding.
Yeah, it's only unfortunate that Scott Atlas wasn't brought onto the team much earlier than he was.
Right.
Justin Hart, author of Gone Viral, How COVID Drove the World Insane, and you can get his writings at his Substack, Rational Ground, as well. Justin Hart, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is The Morning Show. More Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
This is Larry O'Connor, editor at townhall.com. I'm sure many of you saw it or at least heard about it. Anthony Fauci pled the fifth. The former director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the National Institutes of Health was appearing before a Senate committee on Wednesday, and he went on to say nothing. He pled the fifth. Well over 100 times. But that doesn't mean it was for nothing. It may well result in further action. Simply put, Fauci was granted a pardon by President Biden. In accepting that pardon, Fauci no longer has the liberty to refuse to testify. But I'd like to express a brief word of appreciation here, and that would be to Senator Rand Paul. Sometimes Rand Paul is brilliant. Sometimes he's a pain, frustrating me to no end. And sometimes I want to give him a medal. And that was this week. That was Rand Paul at his best, his very, very best. He just has not given up on this issue. Thank you, Senator Paul. I'm Larry O'Connor.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again. Not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
In 1796, George Washington made one of the most consequential decisions in American history. He chose not to seek a third term as president. So why does that matter? Because America was not built on permanent rulers. It was built on ordered liberty. Faith teaches that authority is a stewardship, not a possession. Leaders are accountable to God for how they use power. And why does that still matter today? Because republics survive when leaders respect limits and citizens defend them. Washington's lesson still stands. A republic is preserved when power has limits, and public service remains a duty to God and country, not a path to personal rule.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owed the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Did you catch the good guy with a gun story out of Twin Falls, Idaho over the weekend? Jordan Salinas and his girlfriend had planned a quiet Saturday, starting with horseback riding in Hagerman. They'd stop for lunch in Twin Falls, then hit the Highway West. Well, pulled into an In-N-Out Burger off of Blue Lakes Boulevard, and chaos followed as he saw scores of people fleeing through the doors. Then he heard the pop, pop, pop of gunfire. This shooter murdered 3 people and injured 7 others. Salinas reached and drew a semi-automatic pistol with a suppressor fixed to the barrel when he heard the pop, pop, pop. He practiced for years. He's a healthcare worker and the full-time caregiver of his wheelchair-bound brother. He began training, doing firearm training, seriously after a 2021 shooting at the Boise Town Square Mall killed 2 people and injured several more, because he understood gunmen go after soft targets, and a person in a wheelchair and the aide at his side, like the situation of him and his brother, would be as soft as they come, he thought. Salinas ran from his car, gun drawn, and you've seen perhaps some video of pictures of him fixing to a position and returning fire. He, hidden from view, he had established sight lines. He reminded himself to stay disciplined on the trigger. Soon he saw the shooter standing by the drive-through window, and he watched as the shooter lifted a rifle to his shoulder. And then he said, okay, this is the guy, and he started returning fire. He did not like it when bullets started firing both ways, said Salinas. He said he felt no fear. He had 4 steps to remember, and he followed them one at a time. There's a task that needs to be done, and we're the ones who need to do it, he said. He said, Salinas, that the shooter seemed to be shocked that he was taking fire from 2 people. First Salinas and then an off-duty policeman, a customer at In-N-Out, who also returned fire. The return fire drove the shooter from the drive-thru toward an open parking lot at the city's visitor center, where he later died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And the Twin Falls police chief said that these people are true heroes in the community, both Salinas and the off-duty cop who diverted the shooter and no doubt saved many lives. Good guys with a gun. Coming up at 8:38, we'll talk a little bit more about good guys with the guns, federal law enforcement officers, and what Rafael Mangual expects given the hostility towards said federal law enforcement by politicians like those who dominate the state of Illinois. Rafael Mangual from the Manhattan Institute at 8:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
8:33, 68 degrees and sunshine in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Jury selection will begin today for a woman accused of killing one Bradley police sergeant and critically wounding another. Zandria Harris is charged in the murder of Bradley Police Sergeant Marlene Ripmanick at a Bradley hotel in 2021. Illinois Secretary of State Alexei Giannoulias is joining a crowded Chicago mayoral race.
I am thrilled, honored, and deeply humbled to announce that I am running to be the next mayor of the city of Chicago.
He joins a long list of other candidates running for mayor, including Illinois Comptrollers Susana Mendoza and John Kelly. President Trump says talks with Iran resumed today. Trump halted new airstrikes on Iran ahead of planned talks. Oil prices are dropping. Spokane, Washington remains under a major threat from wildfires. Embers went across the Spokane River, starting fires in residential areas.
To the people who are suffering right now in our region from either loss or uncertainty, everyone here, our hearts go out to you. We are here for you for the long term.
Mayor Lisa Brown. Idaho police say an armed bystander and an off-duty state trooper saved lives during a deadly shooting on Saturday at an In-N-Out Burger in Twin Falls. Twin Falls Police Chief Matthew Hicks.
At this time, we can confirm that the suspect, 24-year-old Chad Williams, is deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
If you went back to school shopping this weekend here in the Chicago area, you paid a lot more in sales tax.
The taxes keep going up, and Illinois is like the highest taxes in the country.
Beginning on Saturday, sales taxes across the city, but in all 5 collar counties as well, went up. It's all part of a CTA bailout funded by the rest of the state for Mayor Brandon Johnson and pushed by Springfield progressive Democrats, led by Governor J.B. Pritzker. Chicago sports. White Sox blow out the Rays 9-1. Anthony Kay will get the W, while the Cubs lost to the Yankees 2-1. They host the Dodgers later on tonight. The news is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free at 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of traffic and weather comes your way next on AM 560.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Class A Insurance, owned by Thomas Iacanta.
Your home or business has storm damage and you have an insurance claim.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters. Today, insurance companies are notorious for offering way too little money to repair damage to your home or commercial building due to wind, hail, tornado, floods, or fire. Crosscom works for you, not the insurance company. As licensed adjusters, Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. After they get you the fair insurance company result, Crosscom can start doing your repairs. Crosscom is a full construction and restoration company that will get your property back to its pre-loss condition, getting your life back to normal. Roof, siding, windows, doors, fire restoration, Crosscom does it all.
Call Crosscom.
Licensed in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin.
This is Dan Leitch with Crosscom. We share your conservative and Christian values. Let us handle everything. It all starts with a call.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, offers Chicago businesses relationship-first banking. Signature knows your name and your story because personalized banking still matters. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature is where I do my business banking.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. During a recent business transaction, I learned quickly that having the right banking partner matters. Signature stepped in, took time to understand my business needs, and kept things moving. If you need a banking partner you can rely on, look for a team with real experience and a commitment to your success. For me, that's Signature.
Signature helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature, a division of Esquire Bank, at 773-467-5600 or visit signature.esquirebank.com. Esquire Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Bartlett, accident. Munger Road and Bartlett Road, Lake Street, Roselle and Rodenberg Road, report of an accident. Accident on I-90, the Jane Addams, eastbound. It's on both shoulders right before Roselle Road, and big delays on the Stevenson stop-and-go traffic outbound between the Chinatown feeder and the Dan Ryan. Traffic, a service of Audible. When you start listening to books on Audible, traffic will be less of an annoyance and more of an opportunity for another chapter. Audible, stories that speak to you. Start a 30-day free trial at audible.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Check of your morning forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Great day ahead, high 83, clear 65 overnight.
Now, from the Signature, a division of Esquire Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So Bill Maher getting a lot of attention for this rant he went on against the DSA on his program over the weekend. Played a clip of his riff on Francesca Hong, the DSA candidate for governor in Wisconsin, earlier in the program in discussion with Heather McDonald. But again, man on the left who talk about the bar being low, suggesting, as he did when he sat down with J.D. Vance, that if the DSA continues to be ascendant in the party to which he's affiliated, then his vote is in play. What does in play mean? You're either with the neo-Bolsheviks or you're not. What's to figure out? It sounds like he hasn't very much figured out. So what's the discussion? Is it like what Joe Manchin said on Face the Nation, where, yeah, of course we'll adopt their good ideas. What are their good ideas? How do you get fruit from a poisonous tree, Joe?
Heather, could you ever support a self-described socialist candidate?
No. No way. My God, no.
And even if they have some good ideas?
I support the good ideas, but how
what
can
are
you
the good
support
ideas?
some of the crazy stuff they're for? Have you seen their platform? They're for dismantling everything that we know, whether it be the structure of government, Congress itself, or the Senate they want to get rid of. And then they start talking about all the crazy things. No police, no this, no this, no that. Are you crazy? We want a crime-free area. We have to have police for that.
Yeah.
We want a strong defense. We want a strong border. But if Democrats can't say that, and they start lining up with the socialist demands of what you are to be a socialist, energy will be gone. There'll be no energy, okay? We have right now a tremendous amount of energy we're producing, and the world depends more on us than ever before. But we can do more.
What do you mean if that happens? It's happening. It's not a eventuality. It's occurring. Take the good ideas. Name one. But Margaret Brennan is trying to run interference for DSA, as the D.C. press corps is, trying to muddy the waters on behalf of a DSA that speaks with clarity. I mean, there is nothing unclear about their positions. They're very proud of them. The D.C. press corps is trying to run said interference because they want these candidates to be successful, and they realize that the clarity may turn out to be box office poison in most jurisdictions. For example, DSA co-chairwoman Ashik Siddiq on abolishing prisons. Part of the platform.
Let's talk about the platform. Sure. You know, what's interesting is abolish the police is not in here.
The language that we actually have about the criminal justice system talks about how currently our police and prison system is stacked toward persecuting poor people and excusing rich people's crimes. I personally have no problem with having something called a prison be the place where people like that are kept if they can't
So
be
why is
rehabilitated.
abolish prisons the thing? Is it just that it is...
The language that we have in there is abolishing the police and prison system that protects capital over people. These horrible crimes that have been perpetrated by some of the most powerful people in society are being protected by this system, which is instead mostly going after people for, having some weed or for jumping a turnstile on the train.
Right. So we have gulags for political prisoners, but no prisons for people who break the law. Is that a fair summary? It is. Aber Quas, remember her? She was one of those victorious Mamdaniites a few weeks back, along with It Girl for this cycle for the DSA, Daralisa Chevalier. Again, very clear.
Immigrants that are living in fear of ICE every single day. What can we do to resist this? We are calling for abolishing ICE and agents who live to exceptionalize who gets to be part of this country. My parents were both undocumented, and I remember my parents speaking about what to do. Should they leave the country? Where should they hide if an ICE agent comes to the home?
And here in Illinois, we have, supposedly sort of mainstream candidates like Secretary of State Ali G, who announced for mayor of Chicago yesterday. But as Secretary of State, well, he's on the program. I mean, he's an empty vessel, but it's instructive where he thinks he needs to be in order to be viable.
You may have seen this video recently on social media. It shows an ICE agent confronting someone filming a vehicle and saying,
You can record all you want.
I am.
I am. Change plates out every day.
Well, I have a big problem with that. You see, swapping out Illinois license plates on Illinois registered vehicles is illegal. And as
he's law and order all the way, except with the 1 in 5 CDL licenses that his office issued to illegal immigrants, according to the U.S. Department of Transportation. And Juliana Stratton, our lieutenant governor, and likely next senator to replace Saca Durbin, on with Major Garrett on ICE.
But what we saw with Operation Midway Blitz here in the city of Chicago and in the state of Illinois is we saw Border Patrol agents going down through downtown Chicago. We saw ICE agents in our communities after Donald Trump said that he was going after the quote unquote worst of the worst. But that's not who he went after. We saw tamale vendors and daycare providers, agents going into churches and places of business and even schools where we've saw a lot of activity. And so this is a time that I don't believe that this agency can be reformed. I believe that we need to start looking at what can we do with all of that money that that agency has, because what Donald Trump is doing is not about immigration. It's not about public safety. It's about trying to normalize the presence of the military on American soil. So let's really invest in a system that works for legal, to put people on a path to legal immigration. Invest in more immigration judges, make sure that we have community-based resources and social services, and not criminalize our immigrant neighbors.
Don't criminalize criminals. Abolish ICE and amnesty for all. I mean, that's Daralisa Chevalier. That's every other DSA. You can call yourself DSA or not DSA. I don't care what Ali G or Juliana Stratton calls himself. It's the same program. Same program. For more on all this, pleased to be joined again by our friend Rafael Mangual, Senior Fellow and Head of Research for the Manhattan Institute's Policing and Public Safety Initiative, and author of Criminal Injustice, What the Push for Mass Decarceration and Depolicing Gets Wrong, and Who It Hurts the Most. Rafael, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Dan. How are you?
Good. Good to have you back. So, your reaction to, where this rhetoric, whether it's room temperature or a little bit more vituperative, where this ultimately leads when it comes to the demonization of ICE and the vilification of ICE officers and federal law enforcement agencies?
Yeah, I think ultimately it leads to a toxic politics. And eventually that rhetoric is going to get taken up by people who are going to take it to its logical conclusion. We just saw that in New York, just a couple of weeks ago with the most recent ICE-related attack outside the ICE headquarters in downtown Manhattan, where someone tried to light the building on fire and shoot people with what turned out to be an airsoft rifle with, and he was armed with other weapons, right? I mean, this is what happens when you have people who, instead of talking about, enforcement actions as arrests, they call them kidnappings. They accuse the agency of operating, cruelly and ignore the fact that all they're doing is enforcing duly enacted immigration law that has been on the books for decades that is relatively mild compared to the global standard, which is something no one else wants to talk about. It's not as if, every country in the world is more happy to, allow their borders to be invaded and to allow their immigration laws to go unenforced. It's just not true. So when you have these politicians, you're using words like resistance and, lauding protesters who stand outside hotels that are housing ICE agents to keep them up all night and commend that behavior, it's only a matter of time until that gets taken to the next level.
It's interesting, too. I mean, this is on another topic, but I mean, it's related in terms of implication. Scott Galloway is a marketing professor at NYU, and he's a co-host of this podcast. He's an insufferable leftist prig. But he was one of those doxxed, quote unquote doxxed. He's on the Mamdani pied-à-terre tax list because he's got, a condo worth more than $1 million or suggested it might be. And he doesn't like it at all.
And I've been doxxed.
You've been doxxed? What? Tell me.
So I don't know if you've heard, but Mayor Mamdani has decided to release a list of the 950,000 residences with addresses and names that might be eligible for his pied-à-terre tax. I came out in favor of this tax. This is the definition. He's taken a legitimate source of tax revenue and he's turning it into a wanted poster. And the question I would have is, other than trying to identify and imply these people have done something wrong, and then 18 months after a healthcare CEO was executed in the street and then published the list, what is the upside here? Why is he doing this?
Mm-hmm. So he's very concerned about his public safety, but he's very unconcerned about the public safety of federal law enforcement officers who are being targeted with much more verve than Scott Galloway is.
That's exactly right. I mean, there's no principle here, right? There's no adherence to principle on the far left in America. It's merely about whether the operation in question serves their interest in the moment. And what happens is ultimately these actions end up hurting their own, right? They end up eating their own, but it also just undermines public trust, right? Because people who are looking at this, who are on the fence, who are normal people, are going to see this list and think, well, gee, is it really that good for the government to release the names of all of these people who haven't done anything wrong simply because they might be eligible to pay a tax? What is the point of that, if not demonization, right? Would the government support, for example, releasing the names and addresses of all of, the single individuals living in housing projects that are multi-bedroom units? Would the government be okay with releasing the names of people who have spent more than 10 years on the public dole? Right? No leftist would ever support that, and they would call it what it is, which is an attempt to demonize some segment of the population that they disfavor.
I want to get your explanation. You did this write-up in response to Francesca Hong, I mentioned earlier, the DSA candidate for governor in Wisconsin. And, I mean, it deals with the canards that people like her are spewing so as to sort of talk around her support for abolishing police or defunding the police and decarceration and all of these other platform planks for DSA. And one of the, I mean, it's remarkable to me that we have to go through this again and again and again, but I mean, our such a large segment of the electorate is basically policy illiterate. We do have to. But one of the things that you addressed, I thought, very effectively, as you do on these topics, is the suggestion, because it was just made by our mayor, Brandon Johnson, the other day, that poverty causes crime.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the sort of, primary planks of the left's positions on criminal justice is this idea that, well, we don't really need enforcement, which they don't like, right? Because they don't like the disparities that are involved. They don't like how it looks on camera. They call it oppressive, right? But they need a way around it. And the way that they argue that we can get away from enforcement is just to call crime a consequence of poverty. And if crime is in fact a consequence of poverty, which, by the way, it's not, then the solutions become really easy because all we need to do is spend more money. Little do they ever attempt to actually deal with reality. And this is really the kind of the core difference between people on the left and people on the right. People on the right deal with the world as it is. People on the left deal with the world as they would like it to be. When the leftist says that poverty causes crime, and that all we have to do to reduce crime is eliminate poverty, they are telling you that they have the solution to a problem that is proven intractable, which is to say that they have the solution to a problem in poverty that has characterized every single human society that has ever existed at every point throughout history. There has never been a society of human beings without poverty. There has never been a society of human beings without social inequality. And when you look at the evidence, what you find is that poverty isn't even a cause of serious crime, at least not violent crime, right? There's a moderately causal relationship between poverty and some categories of property offending, right? But the potential for crime reductions are marginal at best. Right? The most socially costly crimes in America are crimes of violence, and anti-poverty programs have no effect on this. And we have lots and lots of evidence for this. There have been great studies utilizing what are called natural experiments where social welfare transfer programs are abruptly ended because they're not refunded, or where they're started. So we get to see their effect in the first year. And what researchers consistently find is that there's no impact on robbery. There's no impact on homicide. There's no impact on rape. Why? Well, because those crimes are not economically motivated by and large. They're motivated by the kinds of psychological antisocial dispositions that characterize violent criminals in the United States, which is one of the reasons why things like antisocial personality disorder are much more prevalent in prison populations than poverty is. It's one of the reasons why the vast majority of poor people are not criminals. It's one of the reasons why when you look at crime in America and poverty in America, what you find is something what's called a poverty mismatch, right? There are groups of Americans that live in poverty at significantly higher rates than other groups of Americans, yet commit crime at significantly lower rates, right? If you take New York City, for example, the Asian American population in New York City has one of the highest poverty rates in the city, significantly higher than Black New Yorkers and Hispanic New Yorkers. Yet Asian New Yorkers commit crimes at significantly lower rates than their Black and Hispanic counterparts, right? That crime adversity mismatch completely upends that theory. What progressives want to get away from is the reality that enforcement works, right? One of the reasons that we're seeing crime go down in the cities where it's going down is because enforcement has returned by and large, right? You have more people making arrests. You have the federal government coming in and helping out. You have police departments reasserting themselves. You have prison and jail populations growing.
Rafael Mangual, Senior Fellow and Head of Research for the Manhattan Institute's Policing and Public Safety Initiative, author of Criminal Injustice, What the Push for Mass Decarceration and Depolicing Gets Wrong and Who It Hurts Most. Criminal Injustice is the book. Rafael Mangual, the author. Rafael, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. Be well.
You too. And you join us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, guys. This is the Rocket Roger Clemens. You don't pitch in the majors for 24 years without feeling it later. Shoulders, elbows, knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do.
That's baseball legend Roger Clemens.
I tried the ice. I tried rest, PT, nothing really worked. When I heard about QC Kinetics, the concept sounded promising. Non-surgical, regenerative treatments that help your body heal itself without surgery. Sign me up, just what I needed, real lasting relief.
Whether you're a former pro, a weekend golfer, or just want to walk around pain-free again, QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge technology and natural biologics to help restore and repair damaged tissue.
I trusted them with my joints. Now I'm back doing what I love.
Call QC Kinetics today and schedule your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. 312-827-6261.
Hey y'all, I'm Willie Robertson.
And I'm Corey Robertson.
We partnered with Echo. It's a new platform, not just streaming.
Movies and series that are safe for your family.
Echo. I love a podcast.
Plus Echo Daily Devotionals.
Echo. Hey Willie, what is Echo?
Echo is my pet squirrel. Okay, now Echo is not just faith-friendly, it is faith-driven.
Be a part of something better.
Echo.
Echo.
That's where I want to be.
That's EKKL.com.
Subscribe now.
MyPillow is celebrating our country's 250th anniversary with savings up to 50% off their made-in-the-USA products. For example, get the queen-size premium MyPillow for $18.98 and the king-size for just $1 more. Get body pillows with a free pillowcase for only $39.98. Get the MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99 and $80 off the MyCross, all made right here in the USA. But there is so much more. In fact, they have over 200 products. Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Chicago or call 800-489-0201 to check out all of the great products they are offering. Get everything from MyPillow blankets, sleepwear, kitchen towels, mattresses, duvets, pet beds, comforters, couch pillows, bathrobes, and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code Chicago to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, thank you for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. More wit and wisdom tomorrow, but it won't be me. I've got another little excursion to tend to. You know, August, before the kids go back to school, even though I don't have them. Good time to travel. I'm sure many of our listeners are doing the same. I think Jeannie and Amy in for me tomorrow. And it is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Stocks surge as oil plunges. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Dow up 632 points. The Nasdaq's gaining more than 300 as oil drops more than 7%. West Texas crude under $79 a barrel after President Trump chose talks over bombs, calling off a big weekend attack on Iran, telling reporters on Air Force One.
We'll just see how it is. We're ready to go anytime we want. Would I rather make a deal? I'm not looking to kill a deal.
The president said that he had paused what would have been the biggest strike since World War II. After speaking with regional allies like Saudi Arabia and Qatar, the president citing what he calls the parameters of a deal having been made to end the nuclear threat, as he called it, from Iran and open the Strait of Hormuz.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff also reports from the White House.
Iran's foreign ministry this morning saying that the country is not currently holding talks with the U.S., but is in discussions with Oman over the strait.
3 wildfires still burning uncontained in the Spokane, Washington area, where about 60,000 people have evacuated. Some have no homes to return to. Fox's Sarah Allegra standing outside the charred ashes of where a house once stood in Spokane.
What makes these fires so